it up. Raise it up. Chat Pro.
Welcome to the Hustler Casino Live pregame show. My name is DGAF. I'll be your commentator tonight for the ante game, which should be amazing as always. But we've got a special pregame show today. We're gonna be here for about 2.5 hours. The last hour, I'm gonna review last night's Max Payne Monday show for my podcast called Sessions, and I'll just run through some hands I played. But for the first 90 minutes, we got Nick Airball here. How are you doing, man?
Starving artist, checking in.
Are you a starving artist?
I think so.
What does your shirt say?
So this was a gift from my sister-in-law for my birthday. And I thought, it was pretty fucking fitting. Poker is my philanthropy.
Yeah. How did that heads-up match in Vegas go?
Not the way I pictured it. I mean, got destroyed, I guess. Lost about $1,030,000 in 50-something hours, so not the result we wanted.
Yeah, so what were you guys playing? What were the stakes?
So it's 2-4 with the 400 ante, so essentially 3-6 or whatever you could consider the equivalent of no ante. So and 100 came in.
That's really not that much money. 10 buy-ins.
Yeah, not.
And if you're playing, if it's really 300, 600, yeah. So
yeah, I think the format is shallower than it seems like because of the ante, which I didn't consider. And I also think 10 buy-ins is nothing.
Yeah, well, it's, you're a very high variance player. You like to run more bluffs than most. And so you guys played 58 hours. How did this come about?
I mean, so I guess it kind of goes back to the Jack 4 thing. Mm-hmm. So from, at least this is my perspective. I know that Matt's camp has a different perspective, but
sure. My
perspective was that when the Jack 4 thing happened, I felt like Matt used his platform to spread non-facts and continuously did this under the guise of wanting to help with stream security, but when Nick reached out and tried to actually ask him to come help, he never came and helped. So I think it was he just was choosing to talk shit and try to build his platform, whatever, and it affected. He talked shit about me, but he also talked shit about a lot of people that I'm friends with, close friends with, and affected them. And so I think I was a little bit irritated by it or whatever. And then I think as in the recent months, he's continued to talk shit about Hustler and myself and other things. And so eventually I just kind of got emotional and was just fuck it, call him a scammer or whatever. And that was to me, that was how it kind of started, was with all that.
Yeah, I imagine a lot of people are tuning in right now hoping for the petty, toxic nonsense that has taken over poker Twitter and probably other platforms that I'm unaware of. We're not doing that today. I have zero interest in that shit, and I think you also have zero interest in that. We're gonna talk about the match. We're gonna kind of give people. So you're giving your perspective, right? Yeah. And a lot of us that work here feel what is that noise? Oh shit! I gotta turn my volume down. A lot of us feel like we've been building something beautiful, and we've been doing a lot for the poker world. We're bringing in new players, and it's the poker purists have rejected Hustler Casino Live, or it's irritated them. The one commentator letting it be about the table talk and the crazy action players. The super high level super pros don't get seats, right? And that's Ryan Feldman's vision, and the proof is in the views, the subs, the likes. But really, the purists have had a problem with it since the beginning, and they've found different reasons to talk shit about us, right?
I think it's your point is undervalued or whatever. Hustler Casino Live has grown poker more than any of the poker purists have by 100x. I mean, look at all the young influencers and stuff who are getting into poker. The people that they watch are the people on Hustler Casino Live. That's what's getting them into the poker. That's what's growing the game. It's not the high roller tournaments or the nitty regs opinions. No one if it was left up to them, there would be no growing poker because they would just be miserable games and no one would care.
Yeah, something I tweeted out the other day when I was just a little tilted was people only win at the poker table when there's new players at the table. Would you agree with that?
Of course.
We're like the crushers in live poker. They don't do it by battling
other crushers.
They do it when there's a new player at the table and they can play almost perfectly against them, and they can really exploit the shit out of them, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's just true at all levels, where people make money in poker when there's new players there.
Yeah.
And we've been doing a lot for that. And beyond that, we've been trying to create this amazing content, this escape for people. They get off work every day or whatever it is, and we have people that tune in every single day from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. and longer on Fridays. And a lot of us here pour everything we have into it. The commentators, the production, of course, Ryan and Nick, and then the staff, and the players try and put on a show as well. And so I think we felt kind of like attacked a little bit the whole time, and then when the Jack 4 thing happened, it just got really ugly, and people don't know that a lot of people use their platforms to throw shade or worse, and there's lasting effects of that. I get called a cheater still, like every time I play or commentate.
Yeah, I mean,
and I've never cheated one hand in poker in my life.
And like, that's the other thing too about that whole Jack 4 thing is like, it's one thing to like use your platform to discuss it or whatever, but like to call people out and like make false accusations or whatever, especially like cheating accusations, which is like probably the worst accusation you can make in gambling. Like, it's pretty uncool in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you have a responsibility if you have a big reach on your platform to verify stuff before you blast it, to not give conspiracy theorists your platform to use to spread their bullshit. But that's just my opinion, and it doesn't matter. What I know is that many of us were really affected by that, which is crazy. It's one hand between Garrett and Robbie, and people just use this opportunity after he accuses her, and that hand looked shady as fuck to me when I saw it. But how could I expect that was going to turn into attack on every single person that works here or plays here? That's insane. But that's what happened, and it messed us up. It really threw me off for months, and like
all of us.
I've got this anger that I never had before in my life. I'm trying to get rid of it, and I've decided I'm going to keep my head down. I'm going to stay out of the muck. People can say what they want. I'm just going to unfollow them, unblock them, mute them, whatever it is. I'm going to keep, and I think that's the approach we all need to take here.
Yeah.
We keep what we're doing. We're a rocket ship. People have been throwing pebbles at us and rocks at us the whole time. And so you finally lashed out at Berkey because you thought he was, I don't watch their podcast, but you thought he was saying stuff that was intending to bring us down.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. I felt like he was just using his platform to like, further put out like non-facts and like cause us problems and like literally attacking people that I care about and like also like spewing nonsense about me and whatnot. And so finally like it kind of just culminated in like an emotional response from me, which was me calling him a scammer, which is like definitely not the right word to use.
Right.
And like, I guess on that front, like I want to apologize to Matt for calling him a scammer because that's not cool.
That's good.
But at the same time, like I also think that like I have understanding from myself for why I gave that kind of response because like I was upset and like still am or whatever, and a lot of people like in my close circle are upset and still are. But like I think that was definitely not the word to use.
Okay, good. What percent? I don't think he's a scammer either. I've known Matt for a long time. Prior to this, to working at Hustler Casino Live, he's always been very supportive of me, and we've always had a good relationship.
Sure, yeah.
What percentage of this heads-up challenge? So, what percentage of it is you sticking up for yourself? What percentage of it is you sticking up for everyone here at Hustler Casino Live? And what percentage of it is you trying to build your brand? Would you? Is it fair to say it's a combination of those three things?
Yes. I think the brand building part was definitely never my intention, and I think like if that was my intention, I clearly would have done things differently and maybe played someone else and whatnot. It was mostly the first two, and in my head, mostly the second one of like standing up for like Hustler and like kind of just like people around me.
I think a lot of us felt that, and that's why you had so much support, because people don't know, like, man, this Jack 4 thing was just such a fucking nightmare. I got a friend who lives in Palmdale, and he would say, like, the guys from Palmdale are asking, like, is Billy a cheater? And, like, these are guys I see all the time, and, like, that is fucking gross, man. People, you know, are responsible for that, right? And so I think, you know, I don't watch the podcasts that we're talking about it, but I've seen some stuff, and yeah, it makes me irate, and I think that's why you had so much support from people around here. You went in thinking you were a favorite.
Yeah, so I mean, I think going in, I definitely felt like I was a favorite, a big favorite. After the first weekend, I was like, Heads Up is way different than I expected. Like, to me, what Heads Up was like end of the session, like we're both like out of our minds. We've been awake for 20 hours. Like, who's sicker? Who has more heart? Who doesn't care more? Like,
and who runs better?
Yeah, and obviously the most important is who runs better. But like, it's kind of like late at night, like you're just battling, right? So I was like, went to Vegas. I was like, we're gonna fucking battle, and like that's not quite what it was. You know, it was a lot more like it's a technical game. Like, you have to be patient, and then also like you just really need to run good. And like I thought going in that the way to reduce the variance was to make us play deeper, so there'd be more like skill edge or whatever. But I actually think it worked out the opposite, or I mean I think that ended up working out the opposite in that like I think it ended up making the variance way more impactful. Like we play, right? We ride 100K, you get up 50K, or Matt gets up 50K, and I double him, like he's up 200,000 right away. Versus like if we're playing shallower, like that doesn't, like it's just like a lot different. So like when the coolers come and you're super deep or whatever, like it's just like the death switch, you know?
Yeah. I mean, so you thought you were a favorite going in. After the first weekend, it was kind of eye-opening.
Yeah.
Your guys' plan was to play Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. How many hours a day?
Like 6.5.
6.5?
Yeah.
That's a weird number, but okay.
Yeah, very weird.
Okay, so 6.5 hours a day, and after the first weekend, you were a little bit humbled. Did you still think you were a favorite?
I was no longer sure. So I guess the way I would put it is this, like, a lot of times when you're playing, you're like, oh, I know, like you know what to be thinking and what to do, like, and how to get to your decision, right? Or at least you have a framework for like thinking through like your decision making, whether it's good or bad. And the Heads Up, like in a lot of the spots in the first weekend, I was like, I don't even know how to evaluate the situation. Like, I just don't know, you know? Like, this is a completely different format, and like the way I'm evaluating it is like in ring terms, which is just like doesn't apply. And so like, I think after the first weekend, I was like, okay, I definitely am not as good at this format as I thought I would be or am. And so, but at the same time, like, and this is not meant to be like a dig, it's just like my honest take, is like, I also think and know that Matt's not like a Heads Up expert by any means either. So like, in some cases, like I didn't feel as like stressed about that, but I also was like no longer certain about like, I mean, I probably was losing in hindsight, I think. So I would say like going into the match, I thought I was winning. After the first weekend, I realized.
When you say that, you mean you thought you were a favorite?
Yeah.
Yeah.
After the first weekend, I thought, okay, I'm probably a dog, slight dog, at this current time. By the last 2 weekends, I think I was definitely a favorite again. And like the last day, I felt like I was, and like people like have looked at the hands or whatever who I think are sharper than me and said like, yeah, you were definitely a favorite based on these hands, you know? That being said, like, it doesn't mean anything. Like, it's like, once again, even the last day, like, what? We played 100 hands or whatever, and like, I lost 3.5 buy-ins. Like, it's not enough hands to know if anyone's a favorite.
The last hand that you played, you flopped a set and he turned a higher set.
Yeah.
That's going to be tough to overcome. A hand like that's going to be tough to overcome. And there was a hand early on that I think was kind of pivotal, where you got it all in with a set, and he had just a gutter or runner boat draw, and he hit the gutter, right, for a big one.
Yep. I mean, I think so obviously like the one big hand that went my way was the Queen Jack versus the set.
Yeah.
But like to me that hand, like it's a cooler, but like it's not, because like he just raises the flop return and the hand's over. Whereas like the ones that I feel like went against me, and this is probably me like self-justifying, but like this is just how I feel about it. The ones that went against me, I felt like were just like automatic ones, like flush over flush, set over set. Like the last day we had flop 7-8-9, I have 10-6, he has Jack 10. Like,
Sure,
like
straight, yeah.
yeah, like boat over boat. Like the hand that was Ace Queen Jack Queen or whatever. Like we talked about a bunch of hands after. Like I was like, oh, are you willing to say what you had? I'll tell you what I had or whatever. He was like, yeah, and like we went. I asked him a bunch, and like it was just like the nuts every hand. Which is whatever, it's.
So
it is what it is.
So before, I want to talk about that a little bit more, about the conclusion of the match. But you called him a scammer, and you want to make it clear that you don't think he's a scammer.
Yeah, I think that was definitely like an emotional response.
Right.
It was not an appropriate response. Even after I said that, I was advised by a lot of people who I really respect that this wasn't like the right thing to say. But at that point, I was still very much like in a much more emotional state about the whole thing, and like also like. When you're like going into like the match, I don't want to be like, oh, I take back what I, you know what I mean? Like I just wanted to like let's fight and then we can figure it out later, kind of thing. And so now that we're done and like I've had more time to like think about it and like discuss, like I definitely think that was a mistake. And like I apologize for that choice of words because I think it's like bad, and I don't think I think when I said it, my intent was to hurt him, definitely, because I was like irritated and hurt. I know people around me were, and I think that that doesn't justify it at all, and I would have been much better off just saying like, you suck at poker, or like something along those lines, versus like, you're a scammer, which I think is just not fair and not true, and also just like, somewhat like it's like almost like, instead of taking the high road with what he did, it's kind of like going to that level of just spewing like nonsense, and I kind of regret that.
Yeah, I think people talk about the poker community a lot. And I don't think there really is a poker community, if we're being real.
Yeah.
The nature of the game is every man for themselves.
Zero sum.
Every woman for themselves, right? Zero-sum game.
Yep.
So people talk about the poker community, and what they're referencing is some self-anointed spokespeople on social media saying the poker community. But really, in my opinion, and I've been around for a very long time, longer than Matt, I've been around, there's a poker world. There's no community. There are cliques within the poker world. There are amazing friendships that come about. But really, it doesn't make sense for there to be a poker community because we're all trying to take each other's money, right? So another thing you see is poker is tough, man. You have access to some games that are incredible that most people will never have access to, or they'll never have a buy-in for. But if you're trying to grind it out down there, it is tough. So after a certain amount of time in the live poker world, you start looking for other ways to make money, right? And a lot of people get into content. And Matt got into a training site and a podcast, right? And Doug Polk started a training site, and Phil Galfon. Doug and Phil come from the online world, but they started training sites, right? And so everyone's just got their own hustle, right? And it all kind of coexists until one attacks another. And we have Hustler Casino Live, which changed the game. The streaming game was kind of cool before. Live at the Bike was kind of cool. Garrett would play on a Friday night. It was kind of cool, and the other nights were okay, but it was kind of grainy. Couldn't really hear the players. And then Nick and Ryan built this rocket ship and changed the game. Now you see streams shutting down for a while, coming back. The Lodge did. The Lodge is a very good product. Poker Go is an amazing product, and Poker Night in America is popping up. So it's really done a lot, but us feeling attacked, now you look at, well, wait, what do you got going on over there? And these training sites, let's talk about training sites for a second, just in general. We're not attacking anyone. Do you think someone in the 2-5 game could get all the training available, and then they could do well in the games you play in?
No. I think so training sites are interesting. Obviously, I guess we can talk kind of about maybe speaking about, I guess from my opinion, speaking about Doug and Phil's training sites, who are Doug and Phil accomplished online players with a proven track record or whatever. And
but who's their consumers? Live players, right?
Right, and that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say I think there is a level of disconnect between live play and online play, and sometimes I think the coaching is not necessarily as applicable, but I mean, I think it's a hustle. It's a soft hustle, like you said. Like, if you can't.
That's the nature of the game.
Right, and like this is not, once again, not meant to be disrespectful or anything, but like, I think the reason that Doug and Phil probably started these training sites in the first place is because when online poker got shut down, their options were travel, like live somewhere else to play, which they didn't want to do, or play live. And then when they played live, like you can't get into good big games, and like
slow.
Yeah, and like so that was a better way of them to kind of make revenue from their poker skills or whatever.
Right.
And so like that's kind of how I see the training sites.
Yeah. So at first, I really was against the training sites when they started coming out, as far back as like Card Runners or whatever.
Yeah.
And you know, just if you're old school, it's like, whoa, poker's always been this thing where we come here, we have fun, we're a little bit better than our competition, and we win over time, right? And it's just a misfit way to get through life, right?
Yeah.
Like you're not working the 9 to 5, and that's how it was. And one thing you never did was make anyone better, and you didn't berate people who are bad. And you didn't focus on really good technical play. You just focused on making the game as big as possible and as juicy as possible, and you just played a little bit better than everyone else,
Yeah.
and it was all good. And they had fun, and the training sites changed that, and I was really against them. And then I just decided it's pointless having this negative energy towards anything. And I get it that they serve a good purpose. It's fun to stimulate your mind, right?
Yeah.
To think very critically about hands that can come up, and so there's that kind of joy that people get at training sites, and the other thing is they get a lot of community out of it, right?
Yeah.
So if you go to Solve for Why camp, you're hanging out with these guys that are some of your favorite poker players, and you might have a Discord channel with them forever.
Get to interact with them daily and stuff.
And so then I kind of like just accepted them.
Yeah.
But still, they sell based on we're going to turn you into a crusher or whatever, and like you just don't see that. You just don't see crushers coming from training sites in live, right? Some of the best live players obviously are very studied, but it's the other stuff that makes them big winners.
And also it's like, I'm thinking about live cash because I don't know anything about like tournaments or whatever. I guess maybe the trading for live tournaments is great, but for live cash, you can go study like as much as you want at Upswing and run it once and become like the most genius player ever, but you're just not going to get to use that because you're not going to get to play in the good big games.
Yeah.
Like you know, if you spend like I don't spend my time studying. I spend my time like trying to make the game good and like trying to like cement my relationships and friends with the players in the game and like trying to be good for the game because that's how like I get a seat the next week and like that's what matters. And like if you can be the best player in the world but if you don't get to play, it doesn't mean shit.
Right. Yeah. So I'm not trying to attack training sites.
Yeah.
I made peace with them a long time ago. I think they do good. They bring new players to the game.
Definitely.
They stimulate minds, the strategic aspects of poker, and there's a lot of good community. And basically, people just need escapes from their normal lives.
Yeah.
They need hobbies. And so it doesn't matter if they think they're going to take these courses and come and crush a 10-20 game. They're not. They're going to get fucking whacked. Because there's just so many, live poker's just about so much other stuff, right? So, but when you're being attacked, when we're just over here trying to build the best stream ever, and people are just throwing fucking rocks at us from all angles, I think that's where you were kind of launching back at like, well, what's the ROI of this training site or this course or whatever?
Yeah.
And it's great because it doesn't need to be results like winning in poker. It could be just satisfaction or making friends or whatever.
And that's like kind of what, you know, some people basically told me when I was like upset or whatever. They're like, you know, the point of his business might not necessarily be to like turn you into a crusher. It might just be to give everyone a community, like some people a community in poker, which is like pretty valid. And then in terms of one other thing, which is like, so like, I think people underestimate like, yeah, it's a privilege to get to play on stream and like they're really good games and everything. But also like when players come on stream, like they're putting themselves out there. They're like potentially gonna make themselves look like idiots or whatever, right? And
Have you ever done that?
I mean, no, but I've heard of other players doing that. Whether it be like their play or what they say or their drinking or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I mean, not that I've ever done any of those three, but
No. I don't think you have. Yeah.
And like I think like sometimes it's like tilts me to see comments or whatever, or especially negative ones, where people are like, oh, this person's so horrible, blah blah blah. It's like, well, clearly like you don't know everything, considering that the next week they're back again and like everyone wants them there and everyone likes them. Like maybe like consider like that before you just like spew a stupid opinion, you know. And that's stuff that kind of tilts me too. Like so like after like for example like after I got drunk that one session here, Matt like made like a long podcast about it or whatever, and like the shit he was saying was just like wrong, like just black and white wrong. But like to me, I was just like, you have no clue what you're talking about. Like
what was you saying? I didn't see it.
Just like I was so out of line. All the players like don't like me, and like I was being like super disrespectful to this person, that person. I'm like, but listen, like the next day I'm texting this person, that person, and everything's fine. They didn't think it was disrespectful. Like,
was this the Ling Ling thing?
Yeah. Or like,
so it's really hard when you're. It's a credit to how good our production is that you see everything, and people think like
they think one thing.
Like mistakes happen and people think, oh, this person's cheating. Like every little thing that's magic. I won a nice pot the other day. I stacked someone and he pushed like the remnants of the pot to the woman who got stacked. And so people are like, he's trying to cheat. And like, he's not trying to cheat. It's just a human being, and the cameras are so good.
Yeah.
And so it looks like you're pissing off Ling Lin and whoever else, but.
I mean, I'm sure I was, but also like, you don't know our relationship and like stuff like that. Like that day, Ling Ling came to the game and had no chips.
Right.
Who gave her chips to play?
You.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like
at Javier's.
I mean, bro, come on. That's
okay.
Like, let's not discuss the meeting point.
So, yeah. So people don't understand that the players definitely do like you. It might be they think you're horrible, but for one reason or another, they like you.
Yeah.
Like for sure, they do. they all like you.
Yeah.
All the ones here, right? So yeah, but okay. So I didn't know that. So that irritated you. And just to finish off the Chings, I think it's just very gray, right? I've never seen any ROI. Like I don't know if they're promising to make you winning players or less losing players or no promises at all. But it's a soft hustle. Everything in poker is a soft hustle. Getting a good game together is a soft hustle, right? You got to accommodate the person who's most likely to lose. You got to do everything they want. And you got to like, it's just, you got to hustle, right? And so it's all fine until someone knocks your hustle, right? Which is this stream, which is, you know, the best games in the world. And so that's a very, but using the word scammer is a little more black
aggro.
And white.
Yeah.
It's a little aggro. So, okay. So that's how this came about. And then you got whacked. You got unlucky and a big one early, and you don't think you were a favorite for much of the match, but then you think you were for the last few weekends. And then at the end, set over set, someone turns the higher set than you. Yeah. Say goodbye to that.
So, I mean, like, I guess, like, to wrap up on the match, my thoughts would be this: like, I think I handicapped myself a ton going into it. With all like when we were negotiating, like basically I just gave in on every single term. Like every single term, like, you know, where we played, what we played, like everything I gave in on. And even to like a couple days before we started playing, like he was pulling out and I gave in again. And like, I think I kind of handicapped myself in that sense because I was like, oh, it doesn't matter. Like I'll just go win or whatever. And I think so I underestimated that. I think the variance was brutal. I definitely was not as good as I thought, or not good, period. And yeah, I got my ass handed to me, like, in terms of the results. Do I feel like I was outplayed or whatever? No, like, I just feel like variance was a bitch. And, like, I definitely don't think I was as good as I thought I would be going in, but also, like, I don't really know what the result really says other than just, like, he won the match.
Yeah, you know? It's kind of an interesting thing. It's like, okay, I'm mad at you. I'm gonna call you this name that doesn't fit, but it'll get attention, and some people will believe it, and so that's why I think you're apologizing, is because some people are gonna believe that forever now about him, and just like
some people will forever believe that we're all cheaters here.
Right? Yeah, of course. And so the end of the match, what was the board, the final hand? Tell us the hand history.
Okay. It was I raised with pocket threes on the button.
Playing 200, 400 with a $400 big blind ante.
Yep.
So Matt's got 800 in there, 4 in the middle, 4 in front. You got 200. What do you raise to?
1,200.
Okay, 3x.
He makes it 6,000.
Someone smart told you to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
He makes it 6,000.
Okay, so you go to 1,200. And he 5x's that to 6K. And what's your hand?
Pocket threes.
Crabs.
Crabs.
Okay, so you call in position. We got 12,400 in there.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the flop?
9-8-3, 2 hearts and a diamond.
9-8-3, 2 hearts and a diamond. That's bottom set on a pretty wet flop.
Yeah.
And what does Matt do?
He checks.
He checks.
Yep.
Okay.
I bet 1/3 of the
A
pot.
little pot control.
Yeah, a little pot control.
Okay, and you bet 1/3.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, keep him in there with ace highs and like get a little value, whatever.
Sure. Okay. Okay.
He calls. The turn is
So what's 1/3 of the pot? I forgot.
like 4,200.
Okay.
I think I bet.
Okay. 4,200. Okay. And he calls.
Yeah.
And we got over 20K in there.
Yep.
And the turn is what?
10 of diamonds. So it's 2 hearts, 2 diamonds now. 3, 9, 8, 10.
9, 8, 3, 10. 2 flush draws out there. He checks again, I assume.
Yep. He checks. I bet 15K. So like 2/3 or 3/4 or something in there. And he makes it 50. And I have like 150 total in my stack. And so I put it in 100K more. He snaps and, you know, he has a set of 10s. That's what
Right.
you do.
So bad beat after the flop, cooler, like the board couldn't be any more wet. Heads up, like that's very standard
Yeah.
from both of you, I think. Okay, but then did you guys shake hands? Did you
Yeah.
say I'm done?
Yeah, after the hand, I don't remember if I said I'd done, but I think like I made it clear that I was disgusted, and I was just like, what?
Was that the last hand?
Yeah, that was it. Like
Yeah.
that was the hand. Like he felt in my chips, and I was like, I'm not gonna get more chips in play. Like I'm
Okay.
done. Yeah, I shook his hand. I told him congratulations. We went over. Like
What did he say to you?
I think he just said thanks. But I don't think anything too.
Okay.
Yeah, he didn't really say much. It was just.
But you guys shook hands.
Yeah, I shook his hand.
Because if we rewind, and a lot of people saw you guys squaring off at the Bellagio in Bobby's room, like you guys were standing up, like almost bumping dicks. Was that real?
That was definitely real. Yeah.
That was real.
I mean-
he wanted to fist fight you.
I don't know what he wanted to do there, but sure, it was definitely real.
It was
It wasn't
real.
scripted or anything.
Did you guys tips touch at all?
They might have.
They might have. Okay, that's different. Okay.
Different conversation.
Yeah. Okay, so that was real. A lot of people didn't know if that was staged.
No, that was real. I mean, listen, the distaste for each other, like the hatred or whatever you want to call it for each other is definitely real. Like, I don't like Matt now, but I have respect for the fact that he came and played.
Right.
Like, I respect that. And yeah, like you know, the match didn't go my way, but I'm proud of myself for like putting it on the line and showing up and playing a format that I've never played against someone who's much more experienced and like, you know, a pro for years and like giving it my all and whatever. Like I tried my best and I'm pretty proud of that, you know, regardless of the result. The result, like, I'm not like too bothered by the result dollar-wise. Like, yeah, it hurts to lose $1 million or whatever, but I'm mostly just like disappointed that it was just like kind of just like a nothing burger, like in terms of like I could never really get it going, you know what I mean? Like just never had a session where it was just like going my way. It was always just like rough and like I don't know. That was just a little bit frustrating, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so you guys shake hands. So the hate was real at the beginning, and he wanted to fight you or whatever it was, and then you guys played and probably gained a little bit of respect for each other as you went. Were you guys screaming at each other? Or he doesn't scream, but were you screaming at him the whole match, or that like slow down?
I mean, in terms of like the verbal stuff, we didn't talk too much. There was one session where he like cussed me out a bunch or whatever, which was pretty funny.
About what? Like playing too slow or something?
No, so that was the session where, so we've been having like, so it's a little bit like hard to remember everything, but we've been having like all these arguments or whatever, and then I bought in for $1 million, that's 1.2 or whatever, and I had my chips everywhere, and he got upset that all my big chips were in the front. So then he called the floor, and the floor came into, okay, move your big chips to the front. So I put my big chips to the front, and then he was on his phone in the hand, and I was tilted, so I was like, call the floor again, I want to know if his hand's dead. Because I was like irritated now. And so then there was like a 5 minute, like we had to wait 5 minutes for the floor to come, or 10 minutes or something, and he was upset that I wasn't playing, but I was like, I'm not going to play till I get a ruling now. And then after we started playing, he just like he's like, oh, you're such a fucking pussy, blah, 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 whatever. But, like, you know, whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I also, like, called him a pussy multiple times after hands. Like, I mean, whatever. Nothing anyone says, like, I can really complain about too much in terms of, like, shit talking and stuff, because I do a ton of it. In terms of, like, the general stuff, like, yeah, there was, like, a lot of competitiveness. Like, we were fucking, you know, I was throwing bluffs in his face. He tried to show me a couple bluffs or whatever. Like, it was competitive, but I think, like, at the end, like, I mean, at least the way I see it is, like, we played, and that's that.
Yeah. Did you throw your cards at him at one point?
No, but they did, like, fly off the table because I was slamming them down so hard.
Did you win the pot?
Yeah.
You slammed it down and they flew
like
up?
I 5-bet King 8 suited and went for it all.
Okay, and then he dug his cards out and you actually had the best hand, right?
Yeah, he wanted to make sure, like, he wanted to make sure that he's like, you have the best hand. Like,
were you guys windmilling your bluffs to each other?
Yeah. That was like, Landon is fucking annoying in my opinion, and, like, I have my own opinions on him, which we don't have to get into, but the windmilling bluffs thing is pretty fucking funny because it was accurate. Like,
okay.
It wasn't just like, here you go. It was like, boom.
What about the bathroom breaks? What was that all about?
Yeah, I mean, I was like, so first weekend I was just smoking hella weed, like vaping, which I've since, like, quit because of the challenge. I think it's bad for me, so I'm like, now I'm not vaping as much. And that made me, like, drink a lot of liquids because I cotton mouth and then I go pee a lot.
Were you nervous going in?
I was nervous every single day.
Was that why you were vaping so much, or did that help you with that, or no?
I was just vaping because I, like, was chilling, you know?
Yeah, you just like to get high.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right, but you shook hands, and then he told you, which you see often at the end of a heads-up match, you know, the way you described it, where everyone's playing and then someone's buried and someone's winning, and the guy who's winning says, okay, I'll keep playing you because you're fucking buried, and, like, it's the right thing to do.
Right.
And then they battle till 6 in the morning till one of them has to go pick up their kids or whatever it is, and then the guy who won says, okay, I'll tell you what I had in each few hands.
Yeah.
And how many hands did Matt tell you what he had in?
Every hand that I asked, he told me.
Every hand. Okay, and what were they?
The nuts.
But you guys played a big one.
Ace, queen, jack, queen, that one. He had ace, queen, I had jacks. I like how the internet, like, doesn't believe I had jacks. I'm like,
I didn't believe you had jacks.
Yeah,
I think it's a weird line with jacks.
It was a bad line. It's just an example, like, of me playing bad.
Even last time I saw you, it was like, I still don't believe you had jacks.
Yeah.
But it came ace, queen, jack. You had pocket jacks, he had ace, queen, and the turn was a queen.
Yeah.
That was a big one.
That was a big one. I mean, on the last day, there was one where he had ace 10, I had ace king in a 3-bet pot, and it came 10, 10, 4, king 7. And I folded to the river jam. Like, there was.
You had ace king, he had ace 10, and what did you 3-bet or 4-bet pre?
I can't remember.
Yeah.
One of the two.
And it came 10, 10, 4, king, like the old cooler.
Yeah.
And you folded river, and he had ace king.
Ace 10.
I'm sorry, he had ace 10, and you had ace king.
So, like, that one is frustrating. Like, there was just, I mean, like.
Do you give him credit for telling you this stuff?
Yeah, of course. Like, I think, like, I mean, I kind of think it's normal, but I also, like, appreciate that.
I think some people wouldn't tell you.
Okay, well, to me, it's normal. Like, I mean, like, any hand.
I think it's a pretty cool thing to do.
He asked me, I would happy to tell him after. I do agree. I think it was cool. I think it was nice. I mean, especially since, like, all the hands were, like, the nuts. Like, it's a little bit, like, it's cool that he was just, like, honest about it or whatever. And, like, fair play to him. You know, he ran well, he played well, and congrats. Like, that's all I can really say. You know?
That's one of my favorite things about playing on stream. Is that you can make a fold and know that you're gonna find out later.
Yeah.
Like, even if they lie to you right then.
Yeah.
Like in the last hour of this, I'm gonna review last night's show, but I had top 2 and DQ check raise the river, like, that's never a bluff.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I folded, and he showed me a card, obviously, that he
made
could
it
have
seem
had
like a bluff,
like a misdraw.
Yeah.
But then I saw later that he just had it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think, like, and that's one thing about heads up. It's like, I think you talk about this when you're commentating, like, someone will make a big fold, right? And they'll make another big fold. They'll make a third big fold. And then the fourth time comes and they're just like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm never folding my hand now. Like, they've had enough, right? And heads up, like, you make a couple big folds, you just have to play every fucking hand. So you have to make a lot of big folds if you're, like, running bad, right? And, like, a couple times I just ran out of patience on the big folds and made some ones that I should have just, like, let go of. I just couldn't get rid of and stuff. But, you know, it's a very different format than Ring, and I just underestimated that a lot.
It's a different format than Ring, and also you guys approached it the way online players approach it.
Yeah.
All the heads-up matches I've ever played we're playing either we get in an argument at the table. Okay, let's go. Let's get a dealer. Go right over here. There's no studying.
Let's
There's
battle.
no hand history reviews with experts. It's we're going over here to battle, or the game breaks down to us two. Let's keep playing, motherfucker. Right? And yeah, so it's a little bit interesting that that's how you guys decided to settle your beef of you calling him a scammer when you know he's not a scammer, but you were upset that he was throwing rocks at us.
Yeah.
And okay, what's your relationship now with Matt? Do you have one?
No.
No.
I mean, I have no interest in like fighting with him online anymore or anything like that. Yeah, just congrats to him on winning, and I mean, I'm still not like a fan or anything, but I don't really have anything to say beyond that.
But he's not a scammer.
Not a scammer.
All right, we can put that to bed. How brutal has the internet been to you?
Pretty brutal, but I mean, I think, you know, it's fair to an extent. Like,
if you play on stream, if you go on podcasts, you open
talk
yourself up
shit.
to it.
Yeah, I talk a lot of shit. So so I guess like the way I would say it is this: like, when people talk shit to me who I play with, like if you're sitting at the table and like, do you want to talk shit? Like, fuck yeah, like let's go. You're sitting here, like let's talk. If you're on the sidelines talking shit, like it's a little bit like, it's just, I don't know, like it's a little bit, I don't know, just whatever to me. Mm-hmm. That being said, like, it's fine. Like I know I'm polarizing. It's not like my intention is and maybe is to be polarizing. And so like when people have a reaction, when you were trying to get a reaction from them, like you can't complain. So yeah, the internet's been brutal, but you know the support has also been great. Like there's also been a lot of people reaching out to me with nice messages, people I don't know and stuff, and like giving support. And you know I think like I mean the fucking poker world's been like turned on again, you know, and I don't think it's a coincidence that
been
like
good for poker.
that like I'm the one here turning it on, you know. Like,
I saw a question somewhere that do people really actually want to watch Nick Airball, and then you come play on one of our shows that normally gets 7,000 people at once and it has 12,000, and you go to that Poker Go live stream, and there are a lot of other characters there as well, and it's. Does anyone want to watch this? Yeah, 13,000 people watching it all night. The last Friday you played, 18,000 people. So the purists can't understand, and a lot of people don't like you calling people, you're a bitch, you're my bitch, right? And I saw you do that to Jungle Man, but then you and Jungle are going out to dinner, and like he brought you a painting, and like
it's hanging in my house.
the people on the inside is hanging in your house.
Yeah, my wife hung
people
it
on the
up.
inside know that like you're buddies with all these people, right? You call Doug Pokovich, right? I'm gonna own the lodge, and then he fires back at you when you lose, but you guys are fine, right?
Yeah, I mean, then when I'm doing the heads up with Matt, but Doug just reaches out like, can I help you? Like, people like. Who else? Like Art. Like me and Art. Like I've talked shit to Art. They're like, "Oh, you're so disrespectful." What are you talking about? Me and Art are friends. Like it's literally just like the relationships are different, and like I feel like sometimes people should just enjoy the show versus like be too worried about what's going on.
I'll ask you when we get to that. Thanks. So, all right. So Berkey's not a scammer. He shook your hand. He did a very cool thing. He doesn't have to do that. He doesn't have to tell you. And the worst thing people do is they lie and say, I didn't have it when they had it. So he's setting you at ease a little bit. That
maybe he bluffed the shit out of me and he's like, this guy's such a whale.
Either way, it's cool. It's a cool thing to do.
Yeah, I
right?
agree. No, I agree.
So
completely agree. Very cool.
The internet's tough on you. I am no longer like doom scrolling on Twitter. I'm done with that shit. It's so bad for my mental health. I saw that a lot of people question how you play so much poker when you're an investment banker. First of all, do you want to talk about, I don't know, do you have any interest in talking about your bankroll, how you built it, where it's at, what percentage you lost, anything like that?
Bankroll stuff, not too interested about talking about, but like the investment banking stuff, I'm happy to clear the air.
What are your hours, like midnight to 1 a.m. every day or what?
No, 0 hours a day now. So, okay, so here's what it was. So out of school, I got into investment banking. I worked at 3 firms. Mm-hmm. I was working last year when I moved back to LA for a new job. I was working, I mean, people probably they don't remember this, but like from March to November, basically March to like a little bit after Jack 4, I played once a week, maybe twice a week sometimes, but basically once a week and sometimes not even once a week. And it's because I was working. Like I had to work every single day. I was in the office for a lot of hours, and like once a week I would slip out to go come play the stream because I love poker. Then the Jack 4 thing happened, and you know, you may think like, well, how's that relevant to you? You weren't here, you weren't in the game.
You were Javier's, man.
Yeah. Well, Garrett like put my name in his manifesto and essentially said that I was like a part of the cheating ring, and that caused a lot of problems for me at work. People in the poker community are like pretty like nasty, and like people were reaching out to my office and like saying pretty hateful things, and it caused a problem. And I was basically in a position where I had to pick like, do I like my job more, or do I like playing poker and like having my freedom and whatever. And so I decided to move on from the banking role, and that's kind of when I started playing like twice a week here, or a lot more commonly was after that. And so, you know, that's kind of like why I'm no longer working at investment banking. But like for the longest time I was, and like I mean, like for the whole time Ryan's known me, like I've worked at it as a banker, you know what I mean? Like it was only after the Jack 4 incident and like my name being brought up unfairly or whatever, like that I had to leave that position.
Yeah. Okay. So you were an investment banker. Now you're a poker degen.
Yeah.
And people question like, how did he come up? There's so much that the people don't see. Like the games go after stream. And so they're talking about, well, he folded that full house to Rampage. He must have been scared money. You thought that was just a good fold, right?
I still think that's a good fold.
Right.
Like, I think it's such a suicidal spot to be bluffing, so, like, I think it's, I mean...
He leveled you.
Yeah, like...
Intentionally or not.
I mean, I think I kind of just leveled myself, to be honest.
What was that? You had kings and you just, like, flatted pre-flop or something?
Yeah, like I over at the river and he shoved for, like, an amount that, like, I would never fold, like, a reasonable hand.
Right.
And I was like...
That's why you folded.
That's why I folded. I was like, well, if you, like, I'm never, like...
That's the definition of leveling.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so people read that as you didn't buy in that much, you were... scared money, but didn't you loan someone money that night too?
So, what the story of that is, the night before I was playing here, and we were playing post-stream. It was me and Rampage Mariano, and shout out to Barry. Barry was here. All love. And
all love Barry Wells.
Yeah. And at the end of the session, Rampage was like, "Oh, I think I'm gonna play tomorrow, but like I'm working on getting chips here." And I was like, "Oh, you can take all my chips, the 100K or whatever I had sitting here. I was like, you can just have them all. Like I don't need them. Like you can have them. It's fine. I'm not playing tomorrow. I probably won't play till next week or whatever, right?" So I give him all my chips, and he sends me digital, and that's it, right? Then the next day, I go to dinner at Javier's in Century City.
You love Javier.
I fucking love Javier's. And after dinner, a buddy of mine was here playing 5-5 PLO, and he was like, "Hey, come play it." And like all the time when my friends play small here, I'll come swing by. Like the same thing.
5-5 PLO is not that small.
Whatever, but
yeah,
you know what
for
I mean.
you it is. We get it.
So I come to play, and the game is like Garrett, Ethan, Tiger, and Ben. It's like four-handed or something. Or maybe there was a fifth person, but I think it was like four-handed. And like I'm walking down, Ryan like comes out, and he's like, sees me, he's like, Nick, can you play? Like the game's gonna break. And I'm like, oh fuck. Like
a Friday night game is gonna break?
Yeah, because like, you know.
Five-handed?
It was like four-hand or something.
Okay.
It was like, I think there was more. I think Poker Bunny had busted, and like another guy had busted, and I think like Garrett had maybe busted 3 of them or whatever, and so we were down to like Ben, Tiger, him, and Rampage, and like I know like Ben and Tiger like aren't in love with that situation, like so Ryan's like worried like the game might break, you know, which is like not something he wants to happen to a Friday stream game, right?
No.
So
we've seen Ryan come down and play.
Exactly, like he will not let the game break.
Yeah.
So he was like, can you play? And I was like, of course, Ryan. Like for you, I'll play, no problem.
Right.
But I was like, I don't have any chips. So anyways, I was able to get like 22,000 or something from someone here who had some extra chips or whatever on the floor. So I was like, okay, I'll come play. And like Ryan's like, yeah, I need you to play like the last hour and a half so the game doesn't break. So I come in and I only have what I have.
Right.
So I can only play that sack. I think I made like a terrible fold to Ethan that I thought was a good fold. And part of the reason I folded too was I was like, I don't think he's bluffing. I don't have more chips. If I get stacked here, like the game's gonna probably break. Like, let's just like fold and keep playing or whatever, you know? And like, so there was just like a lot more that went into that whole thing. And it's like, just funny in memory.
And then shortly thereafter, the Jack 4 thing happened, and were you fired, or did you leave your job, or was it like an ultimatum? What was it?
Kind of like an ultimatum.
Ultimatum, like you can't play poker anymore because people are calling us about this shit or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, and so then you started playing a lot. Do you mind if I tell the people how you were doing post stream?
Oh, that's fine.
Okay, so what people don't know is Nick was the biggest winner. You were the big. How the fuck? There's a lot of variance in poker. You were the biggest winner post stream, and you were doing well on stream as well. And so, and you play massive. You play much bigger than the Friday night stakes. It's not, and if you go on a heater and you're a fearless player that goes for it all the time, it's not hard to run up a bankroll pretty quickly. Is it safe to say that your bankroll got a lot bigger once you quit your job or got fired or whatever?
Yeah, once I stopped working and started playing a lot more poker, I win. Like, unfortunately or whatever, like, I win. And I'm lucky enough to get to play in, like, really soft off-stream games. Mm-hmm. And, like, the stream games, like, get 100x better after the stream ends because people are much more comfortable. Special players come who don't want to play on stream. They'll come join after stream. So, like, the games get way bigger. Like, a 1-2-4 game is never 1-2-4 after the stream. It's 2-4-8, or it's just 4-8, or like whatever. And so, yeah, if someone like me who plays aggressive and a lot of hands and stuff, like, when things go well, they can go very well, and when things go poorly, like they have been lately, it can be bloody. And
when a lag runs hot, we've seen it. Mm-hmm. We've seen it with Lingland. It's amazing.
I think I'm like one of the last few true lags left in poker. Like, my cards don't matter when I play. Like, I mean, I was talking to Dr. H last week, and he was like...
Some people right now are saying, like, maybe they should matter a little bit more.
Maybe. But I was talking to Dr. H, and he was like, oh, playing with you is scary. He's like, your cards, you always just want ready to put someone all in. And I was like, yeah, that's my style.
And that's the thing. So, you definitely ran hot during that period of time. Probably were a big favorite. The hotter you run, the better you're going to play, the better your reads are going to be, the less you're going to second guess yourself. That's just basic live poker shit. But you do get to play because you are action, you are friendly. So, like, Jungle Man likes you, even though you're calling him a bitch and whatever. But he loves it, right?
Yeah, of course.
And you do the other things. You loan money to everyone. And this is things that people who are a favorite in big cash games have to do. And you're very accommodating, and you know when to let up, and so on. So, okay. So I think a lot of people questioned, well, they want to know about the match, and they questioned, well, investment banker, what the fuck? And so you were, but you're not.
Yeah.
You're a poker degen.
Yep.
You play all the time now.
I'm a starving artist now.
But you're on a pretty big downswing.
Yeah, a couple million.
Yeah. That's pretty big. Are you going to, so someone wants to know, and I think I know the answer, but are you going to play G-Man, Garrett Adelstein heads up?
So, I offered to play, like, 2-3 months ago. Mm-hmm. Had that offer been taken when it was made, I would have played. Like, Garrett had the option to say, yes, I'll play after my child's born, give me 2 months and I'll play. And that would have been, we would have played. We would be playing now, or we'd be playing soon. But my offer, in my opinion, expired. And I think his timing on responding and his responses are very telling. And, like, just further goes to say that, like, the stuff I said on Doug's podcast is true. Like, I know Garrett was, like, ranting on Spaces about how I lied, and he's been saying I lied or whatever. Like, I mean, that's how he doesn't want to, like, he doesn't want the public to know the truth or whatever, which is whatever. Like, it doesn't paint him in a good light because that's just the reality. But I think the fact that, like, everything I said has been verified by the owners of the stream, other players of the stream, the fact that I'm here on the stream platform once again saying it means that obviously, like, it's clear to say and it's been endorsed. Like, the fact that, like, I'm still playing in the game.
Can I stop you for a second?
Yeah.
I think this stuff has run its course. I don't think it's productive to anyone.
Sure.
I don't want to see Matt Berkey go through hell. I don't want to see Garrett go through hell. I don't want to see you go through hell. I think I didn't watch any of these podcasts. I have no interest in them. But I do believe in standing up for yourself.
Yeah, and
but the chat just wants to know if you're going to play him.
Yeah,
it sounds like the answer is no.
But I just want to say one more thing, kind of cleaning up, finishing the Garrett topic. Like, so after the Jack 4 thing, I went on Joey's and defended myself. And then I really did talk about Garrett anywhere. Like, when I was at the lodge, they were asking me about him on stream. I didn't say anything. Here, people have asked me. I don't say anything. And Garrett has made it seem like I went on Doug's thing and started spewing or whatever, but that's not really the truth. The truth is, I was having a normal week, like every other week, and I saw a tweet that said, Nick Airball is a horrible poker player and a worse human being. Like, fuck that guy. And like, that was like a personal attack that came out of nowhere that then made me want to defend myself. And then after I went on Doug's thing, once again, I have not said a word about Garrett. I have not brought him up. I have not launched personal attacks, despite his continued personal attacks to me online. And, I'm going back to, I have no interest about talking about him. I'm not going to talk about him. I wish him all the best in his fatherhood and whatever he has going on next in life, but I have no interest in playing him at this point in time.
Yeah, the shit on the internet is just like too gross. It's too like high school. It's just fucking, I mean, I can't be a part of it at all. Like, it's so bad for my mental health. I'm sure it's bad for everyone, for your guys' mental health. So the answer is no, and you just wish him the best, and like, and that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're gonna take some questions.
And I mean,
chat.
like, for the record, for everyone out there, like, the reason I started playing poker, as I said many times, is probably because of Garrett, like being a fan of him. So it's not like this is like a fun relationship for me to have with someone who I like idolized for a long time.
The chat is tilting their balls off that I'm trying to squash the toxicity. It's fake interview. It's not. It's an interview, but I'm not going to. I'm not in that game of let's talk shit about people who aren't here.
I mean, and we've had this conversation the last few days. Like, I don't have that much interest right now in shit talking or anything like that. Like,
no.
We like had like a bunch of shit talking, a bunch of toxicity. We played, like, things have been super hectic, somewhat toxic since, and that it is what it is. I'm not saying like I'm not responsible for some of that or whatever, but at this point, like, I just don't have any interest in continuing it.
Okay. We're gonna pivot. I'm gonna ask one more thing, and then hopefully we'll have some questions in the chat. So you're scheduled to play the $1 million game, but I heard you might be playing the $100 game. Is there any truth to that?
Yeah, I mean, so I'll be grinding in the 1-2 at Hustler for the next few weeks.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to do the Sandman special and run up a roll.
Right.
But we'll see if I can, pull together $1 million or $2 before the. I mean, that $10 you gave me the other night, like, I've turned it into 300. So I mean, and I'm scheduled to play tomorrow. So
that's the Sandman buy-in.
Yeah.
You have exactly the Sandman buy-in.
Yeah, and I'm scheduled to play tomorrow on stream and Friday. So by tomorrow, I need to turn this into like,
So after the pregame show, you're gonna go out there, order some Trulies.
Yep.
You're gonna jump in the 2-3, maybe a 2-5.
Yeah. If I'm feeling good.
And you're gonna play your ass off.
Yeah.
And run it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
And get a buy-in for tomorrow.
So, assuming you can run that up to $1 million, you're gonna play in the $1 million game?
Assuming, yes.
Yes. Okay. Do you know how many? We're going 5 nights. It's the 26th, I believe, is Friday.
Yeah.
27th, 28th, 29th, and 30th. Damn.
We'll see.
Are you gonna play 1 night, 2 nights, what?
I have no idea yet how many nights. I know for sure at least one, but like I'm local, I'm flexible. Ryan knows that, so I think he'll just like plug me in whenever and wherever it works and he needs players.
Who are you looking forward to playing with? Have you played with all of them?
Played with most of them. I mean, I don't even know everyone who's playing beyond like really what's been announced and like a few other names, and pretty much I played with all of them. More than anything, I'm excited for the stakes. Like, I just think like 501k is cool, right? But like usually 501k is like 100k min. 501k million min, like we're playing deep stack, no limit.
Yeah.
Deep stack, high stakes, no limit.
That
like,
shit's the best.
Let's fucking go. Like,
yeah.
I'm ready to put some people to the test.
Good. Is Eric Person playing? He is, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people watched that Poker Go live stream. I know their competition, but they do their thing differently. They normally produce it, cut it up.
Yeah.
But I watched a little bit, and like, as a competitor, I wanted to not like it. I was like, this shit is amazing. Like, they killed it with the lineup. The commentary was fucking fantastic. It was really good, a really good show. It reminded me of our Friday night game.
Yeah, I mean, they wanted a shit show and they got a shit show, and it was fucking good TV.
And people were like, does anyone want to watch this? And I what's the guy's name? Brent, who runs it?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, a lot of people did.
Yeah, he's like, this is our best show ever.
He seems to get it. Yeah. He seems to totally get it.
That show was their like best show ever. Like, it's like, what are people talking about?
And people were saying that. I think they were quoting Nick Schulman, like saying stuff about you, but then I listened to it and he's just kind of like joking around, and so I thought it was all. Did you take offense to anything he said?
So I haven't actually had time to watch the stream or anything, so I didn't hear it, but I saw write-ups of stuff he said, and so like obviously it's out of context.
It looks bad in print.
I was kind of upset about it in print or whatever, like feeling like it's a little bit like out of line when I come and like give all the action and like
right.
Buying $1 million and bluff Rob Young like with 8 high like to talk shit, but I also like will just take your word that like it's out of context in print, and like I don't know.
It's such an adjustment for the poker purists to like deal with the brash players like yourself who are drinking and just saying like ridiculous shit and chugging wine.
People were so mad too about the last hand with Jen Tilly.
I didn't see it.
So like it was like a monotone board on the turn. I like raised and she shoved for like 80K more, and I had the deuce of the suit. That's it. It's a deuce high flush draw. And I went into like a 10-minute tank trying to.
You did?
I was drunk, and I was trying to decide if she had a set.
I would tilt if you took 10 minutes too.
Yeah, so I was like thinking about calling her or whatever, and people were like, oh man, Jennifer's gonna hate you now. And then she texted me the next day. She's like, it was so much fun to play with you. Like, you're hilarious. Like, let's play again.
She's giving you that treatment, huh? You're a really nice guy, Nick. Yeah. I thought you were very, very proper at the table.
Exactly. She's like, I can't wait to do it again.
Also, when I had a set, you just put in a ton with some terrible hand.
Yeah, I gave her like $80,000 when she had a set.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Rob Young said it best too after. He said, like, that's what a high-stakes private game is actually like. He's like, that's what it's like people drinking and out of line.
That's what our show.
Yeah.
This is the real high stakes world. It's not a bunch of people doing this and like how much you got and like staring them down and like those games die quickly. Even at 5-10, those games die quickly. They gotta be fun. You gotta have characters and a mix of players. I thought they killed it. It reminded me a lot of a Feldman show.
Yeah.
But no, I saw stuff written about you, and then I also went and listened to it, and it didn't come off at all like he was being a hater.
Okay, then there we go.
He's just laughing and saying like, you're just pounding a glass of wine, and he's just like, whatever. He just, he has good vocabulary. He said something funny about it.
Yeah.
But normally you just play here.
Yeah.
You're loyal to Ryan.
Loyal to Ryan. I mean, like, I'm a big believer in, like, dance with the one who brought you. And, like, Ryan kind of brought me to the dance. And so.
You guys went to your high school dance together, too, didn't you?
All four.
All four of them?
Yeah.
Sick.
No,
okay.
I mean, I've known Ryan for, like, a long time now. And, like, he's given me a lot of opportunity in poker and, like, on the stream and stuff. And I'm appreciative of that. And so, like, yeah, I'm loyal to Hustler. I'm, like, I played the Lodge. I played Poker Go. Great experiences. But, like, definitely in the near term, I'm not fucking traveling for any poker. Like, I'm a little tired of traveling for poker.
Right. So you're gonna play. You got a lot of off-stream games, and you play pretty much every Friday here.
Yeah, every Friday.
You got whacked by
West Side.
West Side. Bob West, the artist.
Bob West, yeah. He likes West Van Gogh is what he likes.
West Van Gogh, but they made a video of him with.
Bob, yeah.
They look pretty good.
I like
Bob
that
West.
one, yeah. He sent me that, and he's like, who is this guy? And I was like, look up Bob Ross.
Oh, yeah, Bob Ross. Go. But that game was a preview of the $1 million game. Wes bought in for $3 million. Andy bought in for over $1 million, right? Mm-hmm. You had a lot until they were pushed over to Wesley. I think just as an observer, I don't watch all of it. I just, when I'm, done taking my kids to their stuff on Friday nights, I tune in for the end. You seem to be playing like a man on a downswing a little bit. Just not even thinking with like a tiny flush. Of course, anytime you flop a flush and the board runs out, doesn't pair or another of the suit, like that's a cooler. But I think when you were crushing before all this stuff, I think you might find a fold there, or at least think about it.
No, I think so. But
yeah.
Just sometimes you know how like when you just lose, like I had the aces versus JRB sixes, like all these kind of things, like that's just how it's been lately.
How much did you get in with aces against sixes?
Like 155, 160, something like
So
that.
the pot was over 300K? Over 300K, you have aces against sixes, you lose, and it's like, I knew this drunk idiot was going to lose.
Oh, I was certain I was gonna lose.
No, but I'm saying, like, if they look, how much did you lose in that session?
I don't know, 100 and something.
Right, but you lost a 300K pot with aces against sixes all in pre, and it's so hard to separate results from what
Yeah,
I don't even know how you.
if I win that pot, I win like over 200 on the session, and because I don't tilt off like 80,000 to Jennifer in the last hand.
Right, but then she's not a fan of you, and now you're probably her favorite poker player.
Yeah, now I'm her favorite poker player.
That was an interesting lineup. Doug Polk was there. He's going to play in the $1 Million game.
Yeah. Rob Young.
Aside from the patches, which it did look a little weird, like I get it, like he's a businessman, and Rob Young was like giving him the business for that shit. But Doug was very social, and like gave action, and he made a good snap fold against you. He was running into it, man. He ended up paying off Eric Person
And Rob Young.
You know, Eric Person was like the most normal, chill person at that table.
Yeah, I think
aside from Jennifer Tilly.
He was just there to enjoy the show.
That guy is like a maniac sometimes, and like he can be a little polarizing to some purists, but not on that. Everyone's like, wow, this guy's there's the
gentleman.
There's the chill gentleman over there, Eric Person. And what did he think of all that?
I mean, he loved the show. Like, he thought it was great. Like, Eric gets it. Like, he thinks it's, like, the theatrics, the drama. It's good for fucking poker. It's good TV. Like, people were really upset when I stacked Berkey and grabbed all of his chips. And Eric's like, dude, that's a fucking awesome clip. Like, he was like, that was so awesome. I was like, yeah, it was.
I didn't watch all of it, but he seemed like he played very solid.
Yeah, I think, so he had played, like, a bunch of high-stakes poker games and I think, like, ran pretty bad. And then taking like a few days off, and I think this was like his first session back, and because he had committed to playing it, so he played, and so I think he was just looking to like get a little confidence back probably, and like just like, you know, have like a smooth session. And I think he had like a nice win. I think he won a couple $100,000, so which I was happy about.
Yeah, he played very well, including pre-flop. Sometimes he just goes bananas pre-flop. That's the beauty of these games these days. It's not lopsided. Like whoever has the combo of running best and playing best is just winning.
Yep.
And it could be any player at the table. And it used to be like, no, this player's winning or that player's winning, and it doesn't work that way. It's like when you go golfing, you're actually a really good golfer, but say you're a 2 and I'm a 10. Well, we're not just playing straight up. Like you're giving me fucking 8 strokes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think like I think that's like. You know, I've had this conversation with a couple of the businessmen on the show, actually, and, like, they'll say, like, oh, when I play, I know X, Y, and Z are the winning players who I'm essentially just giving money to. Like, they literally had these exact words. Like, I know when I play, I'm losing, like, I'm essentially just, when I play this line, I'm choosing to give this person money. They know that. Like, they're smart guys, but they choose to come play anyways because, like, they feel like they have a chance on any given day to win. They enjoy the environment, they enjoy the people, and like they love poker, and like this is a good poker environment for them versus like a super cutthroat one where they just like are drawing dead no matter what, and they know when they're in that spot, you know.
Mm-hmm. Okay, chat. We got about 20 minutes. I'd like to get to your questions, but most of it's just like you suck at interviewing, and Nick is a loud asshole. So. Are you a loud asshole? Yeah, kind of. I kind of suck at interviewing too.
Yeah. I think they have a good read.
I don't want like, God, I'm allergic to the bullshit.
I mean, I'm sure like a lot of people just came expecting us to be like firing off me to be firing off bullets or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I just don't.
Is it good for your mental health when you're in those like?
No, I mean,
you're in those Twitter wars and like.
No, I mean, this is something you said like in your podcast that we've talked about. Like you say, like you're a sensitive boy, you know. Mm-hmm. I'm a sensitive boy. You know I'm sensitive. Like I don't seem sensitive, but I'm very sensitive. Like, and so like all the negativity online and stuff. Like I think I've contributed to it, but it was not my intention to contribute to it in that toxic kind of way. Like
you were firing back.
Yeah, and like I just think at this point, like for me, I'm just like, not really my thing. The super toxic stuff, like, well, I'm sure I'll get into fights with people in the future, but like, it's not my goal. And right now, like, when I just finished this whole thing, I'm like, especially self-aware about what I'm doing on social media and stuff, and I'm trying to not engage. Like, there's been a few times where I've drafted up some tweets like in the last few days, like
We've all done it.
to respond, and then I deleted it. I'm like,
and you wake up the next morning, or at least I do. Like, if you're drinking, like, please tell me I didn't send that shit.
yeah,
And
and
you're
I'm
like,
just
oh,
like
I didn't.
so happy I didn't
Yeah.
tweet it or whatever.
Yeah.
And like, you know, for now my thing is just I'm just like gonna get back to just playing here and like enjoying poker because like I feel like the last month, like with all the hecticness and toxicity, I haven't really enjoyed it that much, which kind of sucks. You know, like I don't know, like I never don't want to be enjoying it. So.
Yeah, of course. Life's like
Way too short for that.
literally too short. Okay, so let's address this. The chat's moving a little fast right now, but this guy, Sunith, says you guys started all caps. You guys started the Twitter wars. What you guys on about? Did we start the Twitter wars?
I don't think so.
No, I think Hustler Casino Live wanted to build the best product, and people were taking shots at us the whole time. When I started working here, I remember I was asking like, what do we do about the competition? Do we like block them? People talking about them in the chat. And at first, when I started working here, General Manager Shaun Yaple said, "A rising tide lifts all boats." It's good.
He's right.
It's good, right? But then you find out people are coming at you, and I don't think that's correct. I don't think we started anything. We've been busy building this amazing thing, and I think everything you've seen from people from Hustler Casino Live is response. And you see Ryan on a Twitter space or Nick, maybe Vertucci fires some shots, but
he only I think Nick only fires them when he feels like he's been attacked.
right. So yeah, I think you're wrong, Sunith, but you know, to each their own.
And like obviously like the other side of all this probably feels the same way, but I think like it's pretty black and white. Like pre-Jack 4, like we weren't talking about anyone. We weren't engaged in anything. It's only after we were attacked by the whole world that people started to fire back. And then now it's like, oh, they all act like they're the victims, but they forget that the Jack 4 thing, like nothing was proven. Like they did a full investigation. Like you can be unhappy with the result, but that doesn't mean you get to fucking spew lies. And like that affects people and hurts people. And so like
yeah, I got fucked up.
Exactly, and like I think Matt's team has made similar comments about me calling him a scammer, saying like that's like super fucked up, like that hurts us or whatever. Well, welcome to our world is a little bit is how I felt like in the moment, you know. And like, I'm not saying it was right, and that's why I apologize. But like in the moment when like they're upset, I'm like, welcome to our world, you know. Like welcome to being like someone using a big platform to spew non-facts about you. You know what I mean? Like, how does that feel? Not great, right?
Right.
And so, like, that was kind of how I felt about it in the moment. And, like, to an extent now, I still feel that way, but I also, like, don't want to engage in that and, like, be that person.
Yeah, I
so
know. I felt so much anger, like, that I've never felt in my entire life.
I mean, we talked a lot during that Jack 4th thing, me and you.
Yeah.
And, like, you because you were cheating by sitting in seat 2 and winning, and me because I was cheating by bankrolling them.
How do like smart, experienced poker players think like what seat you're in fucking matters?
Also, like, I still firmly believe that I was a bigger victim or bigger potential victim than anyone in that Jack 4.
Because
like,
you loaned money that you might have been getting free rolls.
For $175,000.
Yeah.
Like, sure, they tried to cheat Garrett out of $135K or whatever if there was cheating, but like they could have got me. They tried to get me for $175. Like I think I was the bigger victim. Like
I mean, but we don't know. So like it's best to not even like that's stuff that people
like,
will latch on to.
I've seen Robbie since, and I think Robbie's pleasant and nice, and I enjoy being around her when I see her from time to time and passing, you know, in Vegas and whatnot. But and yeah, I have no idea what happened, but I feel like Hustler did an investigation, and like to me, that's it. Like nothing was found, and I move on.
Well, the way it was handled made it so that we would never find out.
Of course.
And so a lot of us had to go through a bunch of shit, and people say stop talking about it, and we're talking about it less and less. But it was a huge thing for a lot of us, like ruined my life, and I was in fucking San Diego. I don't know, like it's fucking. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But, okay, so Avi Schreier sends $10 and says, Nick, was this all in part to grab attention available in the poker world, to build your brand, etc., because you could see the splash it would make? We already answered this.
Yeah, I mean, the answer is no. It was, I don't feel like I feel like, has this quote-unquote grown my brand or whatever? Like, sure, like, I'm probably more known, but it's probably not the way in which I was looking to grow my brand because it's been pretty toxic. To me, like, it firmly was like a counter-punching defensive type thing, like being fed up and lashing out. And yeah, like in terms of like, I just that's all it was in my head, and like I think, like yeah, that's all it was.
So Camino Music says, I watch poker because of this stream and Nick Airball, period. A lot of these people that are getting into poker, these influencers, you're friends with them. You go play poker with them in small games. And
yeah, I was playing with Nick Austin at Madison Beer last night till 3 or 4 in the morning, trying to grow poker, trying to like move people into the game. Like, I don't know if you guys remember, but
trying to grow their bankrolls.
Yeah, definitely trying to grow their bankrolls.
Yeah.
Bryce Hall and Botez and all them played like the first time or Bryce Hall played for the first time on the stream, and after he's like, next time I want to play with Real Kid Poker, Daniel Negreanu, Rampage, and Nick Airball. And I was like, how fucking cool is that? Like, this is the guy who's like gonna help grow poker by promoting it to his audience, and he's getting into poker, and the people like his poker idols or whatever is like me. What the fuck? Like, I'm nobody, you know what I mean? Like, that was super cool.
Negreanu, Rampage, and you?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he needs one person that is better than him.
No, I understand why he added me to the lineup to make it profitable, but I still feel good about being in the lineup.
Okay.
What else we got?
Nick, do you feel like Hustler Casino Live used you?
No. Not even a little bit.
Someone wants to know how you made your money. You were an investment banker and you went on a fucking heater after you stopped being an investment banker, and you punted a good portion of it off in the last, month or so?
Yeah.
You had a really bad session in that seat in the Friday game.
I ran pretty bad that day.
You ran pretty bad?
Yeah, I kept running into the top of their ranges, like second pair, ace high, third pair.
Yeah, ace high, that was a cooler.
Ace high versus ace high.
Oh, you had ace high as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was pipped.
You lost 750?
744.
That was the beginning of your downswing, I think.
Yeah.
You were just not yourself that night.
I was wound up.
Yeah, happens.
I think like one thing that people love about this show is like you get people like Jay Boogs, myself, Luda, Henry, like who wear our emotions on our sleeves. Like yourself included on Mondays. Like it's relatable. Like when I'm like, for me personally, like when I'm on.
I think I'm pretty even keel.
No, yeah, we don't know when you're winning or losing, but like
I don't tell.
Like for me, like I think like a lot of people reach out to me and say like they appreciate the fact that like it's just real, you know what I mean? Like sometimes like you're just fucking on one, and like that's real life, you know, and it's not, can't always be like the model citizen every day and like perfect every day or whatever, and so yeah.
So I'll be a little better of an interviewer right here, because Black Red Silverbug with a zinger. Do some of your players own or work for production? If so, is there a conflict of interest due to the potential of collusion between players?
Yeah, I mean, Ryan decided that because I'm so important, he's gonna give me 1% of Hustler Casino Live.
No. So
Just kidding.
Do some of the players own or work for production? No. Well, Nick Vertucci and Ryan Feldman are the owners, and they both play on this show. Nick plays regularly. Ryan plays on the occasional
Once
Friday.
every quarter.
And he is the real deal.
Juice. You know what's funny? Every Friday.
If I could pick one person to put in my poker game, it's Ryan Feldman.
Please, come on. It's our fish. Like, don't advertise to the world.
I mean, because he's so funny.
Yeah. On every Friday after the stream, we keep playing. Every Friday. And every Friday after the stream, the #1 request is get Ryan in the game. I'm not kidding. Every Friday.
I was on a downswing. We were playing 5-10-20 or 5-5-10-20 something, and I was just like, man, I'm stuck 5K again. I'm never gonna get unstuck. And Ryan came down.
And walks a little angel.
The angel comes down from above and gets in the game, and like 10 minutes later, I'm unstuck. The guy is so. But is there a conflict of interest?
No. People ask like
what? I don't get it. Like
people also ask me like, does Ryan get kickback? Like, do you tip him or whatever? No, none of that.
You can't accept.
Yeah,
you can't accept.
I've actually seen first-time players after Friday shows like try to give Ryan like a couple $1,000, and he will tell them like, if you want, like you can tip the staff, like the guys who are working upstairs and stuff, like they appreciate it.
How come he never says tip the commentator?
You don't work hard enough to deserve a tip.
Jesus, I have to pretend like you guys are playing good poker. Like, do you know how hard that is?
Bro, you get the honor of watching elite players play on a weekly basis. Like, that's an honor.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
You're getting free coaching.
I am getting free coaching, and if I'm being honest, it is really
improving your game.
High level
like,
play.
when you watch The Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight, when he's had 16 shots.
Dude, that's... You guys... So, that, you know when I had ace against JRB and I was drunk and I got the 25,000 raise and he shoved? I learned that shit from The Dark Knight. Like, I had like a lucid drunk moment and I was like, The Dark Knight, take over my soul. And he did. And he was like, open 25K, they'll think you're drunk. And I did.
Yeah.
And then he stacked off.
So there's not a conflict of interest. Like, any poker game, there's the potential of collusion, cheating. I've been cheated several times in my life. There's always that potential. I don't think anyone feels, you just feel it, right? Or you sense it, like, wait, that person raised and then that person re-raised like min after you called, and then they re-raised and then they snap folded. There's things, and our whole cards are there. Like, it just doesn't, no. I don't think there's any like feeling of collusion or cheating. And something that a lot of people won't understand is, if two players are friends or have some sort of relationship and they're not professional poker players, it's totally fucking fine if they check it now.
Soft play is like the most whatever thing ever. Like,
yeah, in the high stakes world, it happens all the time.
yeah, like I've seen some people say stupid shit. Like, that's the culture. It's fine. Like, if two players don't want to have action against each other, it's fucking fine. No one cares.
All right, what do we got here? They liked your video, our video, the other night for the Max Payne Monday.
I mean, I appreciate you getting me back on my feet.
Yeah. Did you give me that money back? That was supposed to just be a skit.
No, that was...
That's what you... Oh, wow.
What? That was a skit.
That's what you ran up?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think my shirt really needs a lot more appreciation. I hope the chat likes it.
Airball, DGAF, Airball. What's your single favorite session of poker?
Ooh, that's a good one. For me, it was a super high stakes PLO session I played where I sun ran everyone, and we played a cap game and I won every multi-way pot and just won infinite. And I remember thinking to myself that I am the greatest poker player of all time.
That's the beauty of poker.
As I binked one-outers left and right against 5 players.
So I wasn't thinking on a personal level, but my favorite session was the Mr. Beast game.
Oh, watching.
I mean, I don't know. You can answer however you want.
Favorite session watching from Hustler, I think, was the first time Hands played.
Hands is a beast. If that guy ever runs hot on our show, he's playing the $1 million game.
Yeah. If he runs hot, he's gonna win like $8 million that day.
Easily. He is a lag that's never run hot on stream.
People ask me all the time who's the toughest player I play against. Like, I played against.
Yeah.
And I played against Doug and Jungle and Art and all these like tough pros who like are renowned, and button clicker came and everything. And I don't even think it's close. It's fucking Hands. Like, it's not even close too. Like, he is terrifying to play against. Like, the guy fucking battles, and I love him. Like, I fucking love battling with him.
This person says DGAF. Read all the comments, not just the positive ones.
All right, let's hear some negative ones.
Let's get super toxic in the last 10 minutes. Is that what we got, Neve? 8 minutes. What was your question? Sorry, what was your question you wanted me to ask, Nick? Okay, so what are your goals moving forward? What are you looking to do besides playing on Hustler Casino Live?
I don't
Is that Keith?
Yeah, it's Keith Flair.
Wow.
I don't have any like specific goals or anything. Like, I mean, right now I really want to just enjoy playing poker for the next stretch, because I feel like I haven't enjoyed the heads up that much, and so I'm just looking forward to enjoying it. And like, yeah.
No goals.
No goals. Nothing too specific.
Where'd you get your education? How do you speak Chinese? You went to school in China.
Yeah, so I went to a college at New York University, Shanghai. So NYU now offers 3 home campuses: New York, Abu Dhabi, and then China and Shanghai. And so I went to the one in Shanghai. And so I spent 3 years in China in college.
Okay. I'm looking for the toxic ones, man. I want to get super toxic in here right now. We got a few minutes left, and then for about an hour, maybe a little less, I'm gonna review last night's session. I was up 20K with quickness, and I won $1,200, man.
So I think we should like give the viewers a little more color. So last night, we were like Billy was texting me during the day. He's like, we're gonna get dinner after the stream, and I was like, all right. And I was like, nice. And he's like, we're gonna leave right at 9. And I was like, all right, nice. And so then at like 9 o'clock, I'm on my way over here, and I text him. I'm like, we're going to dinner. Where are we going? And he's like, we're not going. I'm playing.
Yeah.
I was like, all right. And then like 10 minutes later, he's like, well, maybe we're going. And then, so I show up here, and I get here, and we're not going.
Fuck no.
We're not going.
We're playing. Deal faster.
And then, you know, Ryan's like, we gotta go dinner. Some of the other players are like, we should go to dinner, and Billy's like, we're not fucking going. And then 2 back-to-back Dillaboard bomb pots happened, and all of a sudden, Billy was really hungry for
Let's go eat, guys.
And I've never seen a happier man as we went to dinner.
Hey.
So I guess those 2 hands probably went your way, right?
Yeah, they were all right. Like, what's your problem with Rampage? Why do you hate him, Nick?
Oh man, I fucking hate that guy. No, I love Rampage.
Didn't you have sex with your mom?
Yeah, but that was as a favor to me.
Oh, okay. Okay. Like, where do people come up with this shit? No one hates Rampage.
I mean, I need revenge against Rampage.
Yeah, so I knew that today was going to be a long pregame show, and that a lot of people want to hear about this challenge, and I wanted to do it differently than what's been going on. I didn't want to like fucking launch missiles at other people. I want to actually like stop that shit. Yeah. Let everyone have their own shit. Leave our shit alone. We're gonna keep doing what we're doing. This is a rocket ship. Like, stop slowing us down.
Yeah. And I'm sure we will still receive missiles at us.
Yeah, of course.
But like, once again, like,
I think this has been kind of a chill recap of your match.
Yeah, I think it's nice just to like kind of clear the air on a lot of like the negative stuff and like kind of just move on from it.
I figured it out. I know how to spot the toxic ones. They're all caps. Oh shit, someone deleted it. Dana Craven, the moderation sensation, already deleted it.
I mean, I still see a lot of people asking about the Garrett thing. Like, no, I'm not going to play Garrett. I'm not interested. That offer expired.
You wish him the best.
And I wish him the best.
Done. What else, guys? We got a few minutes. And then, yeah, I'm going to talk about what a weird session I had last night. I actually played pretty good for a while.
I mean, from what I watched, you played amazing.
Are you just buttering me up now? I have good hand selection.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Why are people obsessed with where Airball got his money from? I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of IRS workers in the chat.
Well, young guy who's brash and has a lot of money.
So, are you interested in playing bigger buy-in tournaments like the one drop? No. I mean, for me, tournaments like aren't fun at all. Like I've been invited to the Triton stuff.
Does your wife bankroll you, bro? All caps.
Yes.
She does.
Yeah. She's the actual crusher.
Okay.
Nick's ring is looking a little tight. Can you take it off with ease?
You can't.
It doesn't come off.
Too much salt last night.
Do you ever have the plan to come to the UK to play at all? Yeah, so Ben actually, Blank Check Ben was in the UK last week, and me and Ben are pretty close, and he was saying like the poker scene there is actually sick, and like they love Hustler and stuff, and so we were actually talking about like maybe organizing some big poker trip out there and whatnot next year, so we'll see.
Cool, we got a few minutes left. Are you gonna play the World Series of Poker this year?
So I'm not gonna play any events, but I'll probably go to Vegas and play some cash or whatever and just be out there to experience it because I've never been out there. But no, I'm not gonna play any tournaments.
The real question, do the Lakers win the championship?
I hope so.
I do too. I don't think they will. We got 1 minute left. I don't think they will, but I really hope they will. Any final words for the people?
Just I appreciate the support from people who were supportive. I appreciate everyone who reached out and has been kind to me after, and those who helped. And I hope that everyone was at least entertained by the show. And I'm excited for what the future holds.
Yeah, I think it was good for poker, and it was ugly and toxic, and hopefully we put that to rest today. And stay tuned for the last 45 minutes of this pregame show. It's just going to be me. I'm going to break down last night's Max Pay Money. I'm going to talk about what goes into building a game, who gets to play, who doesn't, and just some really tough decisions I had early on, and some sun run and then some bad run. And then we'll get into the ante game tonight. Thanks, Nick.
Raise it up. Chat Pro. Chat Pro. Slow roll. Never fold. Raise it up. Chat Pro. Slow roll. Never fold.
Raise it up.
Chat Pro, slow roll, never fold. Slow roll, never fold. Slow roll, never fold.
Raise it up. Raise it up. Chat Pro.
So for the second half of today's pregame show, I'm going to review last night's Max Payne Monday show for my podcast called Sessions. And let's get right into it. Week 19 of 50, head down the session. So as the 440 or so people who are currently signed up at patreon.com/DGAF poker player already know, and this number was on a steady incline and over 500 before Jack 4, for the record. I went into last night's show on case money again after winning a bunch last week. And how could that be? Well, I did lose a couple times on the casino floor at the Lucky Lady, but those are smaller games that I'm trying to build, and I'm spending some money hosting, but I lost a lot of money on a bet, and the people that listen to my content, the patrons who get a private drop every Monday that's usually about 90 minutes, they know what that bet was. I took a shot and I bricked, and that happens. You cannot come up in poker or in life in general, I don't think, without taking shots. You know, no gamble, no future. And so I took a shot and it didn't work out. And when that happens, you kind of start over. And that's how I'm on case money last week, won a bunch, case money again this week. That's just the story. And I'm used to playing on case money, my back against the wall. Probably no one has played these stakes as much as I have on case money, and that's the opposite of a brag. It's just my story of terrible money management and high bills. Very high monthly nut and, you know, divorced dad, paying all that, you know, keeping my kids in their spot and paying the alimony and everything else, and that's just how it goes. And I also had a very interesting week on the internet. I don't do well with the internet. I don't do well with the haters, with people being fake and so on, but I finally decided that I'm just gonna keep my head down. I am on the comeback trail in life, and I got set back quite a bit at the end of last year with the whole Jack 4 debacle, which is still a bit of a mystery to me how I got involved in that, since I wasn't here, and it doesn't make any sense that I'd be, you know, tied to that. But it really brought me down. I was making a lot of progress on the comeback trail, and it set me back quite a bit, and it's been lingering. The anger has been lingering, and it flares up anytime I see something on the internet. So I've decided to just keep my head down. I'm going to let people be fake on the internet, people I know that are fake, and I don't care. And I'm gonna keep doing my thing, and that means you gotta do a lot of unfollowing, a lot of muting, a lot of blocking. If you didn't know, May is Mental Health Month, and it's so good for mental health to just stay out of the muck. And just let all that shit go on, because it's gonna go on the internet, and just stay focused on what I'm trying to do. And I think I'll be happier, and it's good for time management as well, and that's always an issue for me. And so that's just part of my story. And if you sign up at patreon.com/DGAF Poker Player, you can listen to the whole thing. Every Monday, as mentioned, 90 minutes. I talk about the previous, the end of the previous Max Payne Monday, all the way up to the start of the next one. Everything that went on, how I felt. I do it very unabashed. And some people really appreciate that, and often it costs me supporters, patrons. They get triggered by some things I say, and that's okay. I'm not going to change. I'm not going to ever have a fake podcast. And anyways, we're going to recap last night's session from my viewpoint right here in the 8th seat. The first thing we're going to do, I have Ryan Feldman on the other end of this, and the first thing we're going to do is run through the lineup from last night, and then I'm going to talk about each player. And if you didn't know, I set the lineups for the most part. Sometimes Ryan sends me people, but for the most part, I set the lineups, and my goal is to get views. And we're still figuring out exactly what gets views. But Ryan, we run the clip for the player intros last night, and then I'll talk about the players and the commentator.
Seat 1, got Drew, who's a professional auctioneer.
$369. When I have money again, I'll buy it for $69. I think that's the right number.
You put last week's winnings on red?
DQ James T on Twitter and Instagram, sitting there in his custom chair.
I don't know. I know you watched that video.
Seat 3, Psycho, Sammy the Mayor's son.
What? No, you see my video I made of Billy?
Billy's was funny when he woke up. Do you see Billy?
Sia the Bot, Sia _QIU on Twitter, regular on the show.
Am I on right now?
Nate Hill,
I just turned the knob. I
in
can hear
seat 6, a pro gamer and a member of the FaZe clan.
Wasn't good, the Vertucci Airball thing.
Yeah, I know.
When is the $1 million game?
2 weeks.
DGAF, poker host here at Hustler, as well as at Lucky Lady now.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Are there any open seats?
No.
If you want to play, they'll let you play. You want to play?
And Ayaka,
What do you mean?
Queen of Deuce Tray in LA,
You have $1 million.
also now hosting games over at our sister property, Lucky Lady.
They were beyond full and they had over 50 people that wanted to play.
Yeah, there's a lot.
2,000 up to 5,000 is the range of starting stacks for the evening. Going to start off 10-20 with a $20 big blind ante, and then bump the stakes up to 40 after the first orbit.
Okay, so there you heard Charlie Wilmoth. He's got a podcast called Third Man Walking. I haven't heard it. I know it's part of the Crush Live Poker stable of content, and I hear really good things about it. And Charlie's a genuine dude, a very studied poker player, so an interesting choice for Max Payne Monday, but he's really good at commentating. He lets the game breathe, and he's got a good sense of humor, and he's actually playing in the 5-5-10 right down there right now. So he did a great job. Just wanted to get that out of the way. The lineup, seat 1 is Crazy Drew. This is a guy I go way back with. He's kind of a regular on our show. He doesn't play a ton of hands, but he goes for it when he gets in there, and that's important. That's the number one thing we are looking for is action. And you don't have to play a ton of hands. As long as you're going to put the money in when you do, that's good. And why are we looking for that? Well, that's what the viewers want. So the first priority for me as a game builder is having some action players. And Crazy Drew, not only is he an action player, but he's an interesting guy, and he dresses great, and he's fun to be around, and he's reliable. And so he's a pretty easy choice. Anytime he wants to play, I let him play. In the 2-seat, DQ from Texas. This guy's been amazing for our show. His brand was Max Payne. I didn't know this. I didn't know who DQ was. The way we became Max Payne Monday was this was just a 10-20 game, and it was kind of crusty, to be honest. And then I talked to Ryan Feldman about, you know what, let me play on that thing. And the first thing I did was I got the straddle on after one round. That's about how long it takes me in my career to get the straddle on. It's about one orbit, and we just made it official that after one orbit, it's going to be 10, 20, 40, and that just keeps the game from being too dusty, no matter what the lineup is. And just something, I always try and keep things light at the poker table, especially with friends. I believe in needling your friends, you know, unless they're having a really bad night. Then you let back and actually show some love. But Aaron Queskin had played, I think, once or twice with me, and he'd always get the best of me. I would 3-bet him and he would jam, and he had ace king every single time, and I always had something much worse. And then one time I had pocket aces, and I gave him the business. I berated him. I said, you always fucking have it, and how much is it? And I made him count. I think he had 7K or something, and I had aces. And it wasn't covered that well because probably I think Raver was commentating, and no one slow rolled back then. But I've always slow rolled just like buddies. It's just fun, and I don't know, it's just you've been around as long as I have. You need to have fun at the table. And so that was the first thing there. Oh, that was cool. Let's do that more. And then we listened to the chat pros, the viewers, and they said they hate when people run it twice in a game. And so this was the smallest game of the week, and the week link at Hustler Casino Live. We stream 5 days a week. And so we said, you know what? We'll make this game run at once only. We'll do that for the viewers, and that's where the pain comes in, is the running at once, the slow rolling, and then the needles. But it's all done with love, and we got away from that for a little while, where it became an asshole game, where people were just trying to be assholes to each other, and that's not how you play poker. It doesn't work like that. It might be entertaining a little bit, but the best thing is when people are gambling it up, having fun, and mixing in the occasional needle and slow roll. But anyways, DQ, and then I guess Raver asked our chat, what do you want to call this? You know, let's brand this Monday show. Let's build this thing from the bottom and get it up. We want to get it to be the most popular show of the week, and we got a lot of work to do against Wednesday and Friday. When Nick, Airball, and Mariano are there, and then when the stacks are huge, we've got a lot of work to do to compete with that. But the chat said Max Payne Monday, and I didn't know DQ, this player from Texas, had already branded Max Payne, and he always ran it once. And I met him in the chat. I was commentating one night, and he came to play, and he's a lot of action, and he does like to needle, and he did something amazing. He did the great DQ giveaway not too long ago, where if you followed him on Twitter and followed our show and did a couple other things, you were entered. Each time you did something, you were entered into winning a trip out here. And he paid for 2 different people to fly out here. One was from Minnesota, and I believe the other one was from Canada. And then he put them up at a hotel, and then he gave them 2 4K bullets to play on our show. I really love this. I really love people that have a lot of money and they don't have their head up their ass. And they know that they're fortunate, and if they can do some good in the world, and that's not like saving any lives, but it's a cool thing, and it's good for our show. And so he's also going to get a seat whenever he wants, unless he pisses me off too much. So that's the 2 seat. The 3 seat is not your typical Max Payne Monday player. He went up on the thing as Psycho last night. That's the mayor of Palmdale's son. The mayor of Palmdale is a ton of action, and his chips are just flying in there. And of course, he gets a seat whenever he wants, and he wanted us to get his son in, and we got him in once before, and he played really conservatively, and we're not looking for that. That's cool. He's a very nice kid, but we're definitely not looking for that. And then he asked me to get him in one more time, and so sometimes people that aren't perfect fits for the show get in, and that's what's going on with Psycho. Just a really nice kid, but not a fit for the show. Just isn't action, doesn't have huge social media, and if you don't have huge social media and you're not you're not action, you just you don't get to play on this particular show typically. But He's in the 3 seat on this night. 4 seat is Simon Yu. What's his crypto exchange called? Oh, it's an app, Storm X, and they sponsor Poker Go, and he's the CEO. He's played on our show before. He's sneaky action. He looks like he's a very good player, and he probably is very talented, but he gets the money in there and he runs bluffs, and a pretty easy choice to let him have a seat. The 5 is DK. I mean, I don't need to talk. DK is the GOAT, and yeah, I wish he would play faster, and I talk to him about it after every show. But he's the GOAT. He's going to be in the 5 seat. That's his favorite seat. And Sia loves the 6 seat. Sia the bot, someone who got on the show and kind of didn't add much. Her social media was weak, and beyond that, she didn't talk. She just was kind of a sniper, and snipers don't last long in good games. And I just, didn't have a seat for her for a while. And then her boyfriend is Mars, who plays on our show, in the bigger games, and they're friends with Nick Airball. And they said, "Can you try and get her back on?" And I said, "She's gonna have to do something like, talk more or play more hands or something, and get her social media up." And she did all those things. And now she is a star. And occasionally I have to not, have her take a week off, but I would like her to play every single week. She's a game runner's dream now. She's incredibly reliable, professional, friendly. She has money. She takes her beats well, and she smiles a lot. And she's become social, and she's become probably a lot of people's favorite person to watch. And that's awesome. I love that evolution. Hopefully she doesn't turn into a monster. Seat 7 is Nate Hill. This guy, so I didn't know anything about like the streaming world when I started doing this. And I remember just seeing our views when Mr. Beast and all them came. And I know Nate's not on that level, but he's very popular. He's got a lot of followers on the different platforms of social media. And I commentated one time, and he was just kind of a grinder in the creator game. And then, I don't know, he wanted to play on a Monday, and I got him in, and he's just this really down-to-earth, cool dude who gets it. I think he gets it on all levels. He does stuff to help the show prior to the show. He'll post clips. He'll advertise what time to all his followers, and he's got a lot of them. And despite being pretty homely looking, he's just a great fit for our show. And I selfishly have him sit next to me pretty much every time because he's my drinking buddy on the show. But I don't know, he might get sick of being on my right at some point. He likes when I'm in the 2 and he's in the 3 better. But yeah, Nate the Great is fucking great. I love that kid. And then I was in the 8th seat right here. If you didn't know, I used to be a full-time pro, like a real full-time pro, like over 2,000 hours a year for many years, play all night long, get stuck when it's full ring, and then get unstuck when it's shorthanded late at night. And I got into content, and I'm not a poker pro anymore. I play seriously once a week on Mondays, and if you call that serious, playing 2/3 of hands and drinking 10 Coronas in 5 hours and not paying attention. But yeah, high stakes Mondays, and then occasionally a bigger game on Wednesdays. But I really just am working on everything else, including being a host. And you saw they changed my lower third to a poker host for Larry Flynt Casinos. This is the beautiful Hustler, and 0.7 miles away is the beautiful Lucky Lady Casino, which I didn't even know existed. And they got this amazing private room that has 4 tables in it and a lounge. And I've been tasked with building action over there, starting with 2-3 and 2-5 no limit, and then I want to get 5-5 going and whatever else. I just want to. The general manager for both places is Shaun Yaple, and he's the best person in the industry that I've ever come across with regard to just being professional, cool, thinking long term, and being easy to work with, and being incredibly fair. He's the opposite of a snake, and that's amazing. So that's why it said poker host for Larry Flynt Casinos. And then on my left is Ayaka, 2-3 Queen of Los Angeles. She is working with me to get the 2-3 going over there. And so eventually, the Lucky Lady will be the spot for 2-3. Why? It has lower rake than all the competition. It has same rake as 2-3 here, but lower rake than Bike, Commerce, Hollywood Park, Hawaiian Gardens. So first of all, it's $1 less per hand, which adds up. Say you win 500 hands a year, it's $500. But a lot of people win a lot more hands than that. And the second thing is it has a good structure. It has a buy-in structure. Most places in LA will not let you buy even 100 big blinds, and certainly not over 100, but it's 100 to 500. So it gives you some play, and then the room's beautiful, and the people are cool, and then the last thing, that it's free food for players, and the food's really good over there. So we're lucky to be in the spot of having an amazing product to push, and she's working with me on that. That's why she's the 2-3 Queen of Los Angeles. So that is the lineup, and it's a pretty good one. And I'm going to run through what happened from my perspective, just hands I played. I got off to an interesting start. I raised a 300 with pocket nines. There must have been some limps, or maybe there's a straddle, but I raised with nines, and someone over there called, and Danny called. So maybe I think it was Drew, or maybe it was DQ. It was either Drew or DQ, and then Danny, DK called. And I have 2 nines that comes Queen 7-3 Rainbow, and Danny just ships for a massive overbet all in. This is bizarre. It's what draws are available on Queen 7-3 Rainbow. 4-5 is available. I could see Danny doing this with like middle pair, backdoor flush draw. He could do this with 7 deuce, because we are playing the 7 deuce game. If you win with 7 deuce offsuit, everyone at the table pays you 100. And then the last person to fold pays you 200. It's really tough spot here with nines. Only one overcard and against the most action player in Los Angeles. But I didn't like having a player behind me. Now I think it was DQ. I didn't like that, and there's just something it seemed like I should fold. I had a lot of these tough spots where you just go with your intuition at some point, and I folded, and DQ, I probably would have had to call if no one was behind me, but that also makes his shove a little stronger into 2 people. And he had jacks. That's a bizarre line, and I'm glad I folded. So sometimes you're off, right? Where everything you do is wrong at the table. A lot of it comes down to like intuition, just you have all these close calls, but you need something to push you over the edge to call, fold, jam, whatever it is. And something pushed me to fold, and I'm glad it did. And then here is another spot, back to back. I limp dark in early position in these games for several reasons. The first one being, I was a commentator before I played on stream, and I know how important the VPIP board is to the chat pros. And some people say, fuck the chat pros. I will never say fuck the chat pros. You have to win over the chat pros, and you do that by posting a high VPIP. And so strategically, I'm gonna get in there for a limp as often as possible, right? And I like to do it dark, so it allows me to like be more social. I don't even need to look at my cards. Yeah, it's dark. I can go get someone chips. I can do whatever I need to do. And it also opens up these limp re-raising spots. And also, if you just open a good hand, and I'm sure many of you can relate to this when you're in a juicy game, you open early position and 5 people call, and now your hand it's not a great situation, right? You raise pre-flop, and usually you thin out the field, and then you have a better hand, and that's like going back to the theory of poker. But if you're just building like a 6-way bloater with a hand like ace-jack, you're just like, yeah, there's some value to it, but there's a better way to play it, and that's by limping and having someone raise, and you think they're weak, and yeah, I did. I limp re-raise to 500. And it came 10-6 deuce, and we checked around. I have ace-jack, and the turn was a 10, and so if someone puts out like a value-looking bet, I'll probably have to fold, because they could have little pocket pairs, but But I thought about betting this card as well, thinking ace-jack is good, and Sia goes all in for a massive overbet. What the hell? And now there are flush draws available. There's spades and clubs available, 10, 6, deuce, 10, and Sia's all in, and this all in, just like Danny's all in the previous hand, doesn't make a lot of sense. And the rule kind of is when it doesn't make sense, you pay it off. But both of these players are just very unorthodox, and they tend to have some value in spots where I wouldn't be jamming anything for value there, because it's clear that everyone's weak, and what's the point? Well, I folded, and it turned out she had a 6, so really bizarre line, and I'm dodging bullets at this point because there's no logic to Danny's just calling with jacks and shoving queen 7x, and there's really no logic to the 10-6 deuce. Yeah, there are a lot of draws, but it was a massive overbet shove, and I'm glad I folded that. And then I was in there with 6-5, and I believe it came ace 10-5 with a draw, and I checked, and Ayaka was pre-flop raiser. I know she's going to be pretty snug, but she could have a lot of gut shots, right, on ace 10-5. She could have flush draw, and I check called, and then the turn was a break, and I checked, she bet again, and I folded. This is a spot where you feel like you're gonna get bluffed a lot, and if you're playing against me, you are. I'm gonna know I have a stronger range there. I'm just gonna barrel until the fucking cows come home. But so, if I'm playing against someone like myself, I would be more inclined to call twice with bottom pair. But I let it go, and she had ace queen. So. I'm not making the best hand, and yeah, dodging bullets, and then an interesting spot comes up where someone raises to 100, and Nate three bets to 300 on the button, and I have ace jack offsuit in the small blind. Do I want to put in a cold 4-bet? Well, I know Nate is 3-betting very wide, but. And a lot of players think, well, he's wide. Let me 4-bet here, clear out the field, take it down. Not in these lineups. Nate is one of the more competent players. If you're trying to isolate the competent players, you're doing it wrong, in my opinion. So I'm just gonna call with the ace jack. It's a pretty strong hand. Nate could have big hands, and I'm gonna bring in these other characters. That's just what I do. It seems to make a lot of sense to me. And the flop came down jack 9-5 with 2 spades, and Crazy Drew just led, right? And so I'm always, and he led for a lot. I'm always just getting, maybe he led all in, I don't even remember, but I'm always just getting it in with him. But now Nate, the 3-better, jams. And so now it's a tough spot. If he's got to overpair, this sucks. But what do? I rewind it to pre-flop, and it just didn't seem super strong pre-flop to where my first instinct was to 4-bet the ace-jack offsuit. But then I was thinking beyond what I think Nate has. I'm thinking of, well, let Crazy Drew in, let DQ, let these guys in. And so I decided that Nate could have too many draws here, that I gotta put the money in with top. And Nate did have a draw, and I believe the graphics were wrong. I think Drew had a draw as well, but yeah, I held, and that's nice. So making the right decision is the first part, and then holding when you do put the money in with the best hand is a big part of this, and so a very nice start. I need to win again, and I'm winning, and yeah, and then I have another interesting spot where I have 2 9s, and it comes king 5-3 4 with 3 hearts, and I have the 9 of hearts, and Drew shoves into the pre-flop aggressor, who was DQ, and then it's back to me, and I have 2 9s on king 5-3 4 3 hearts with the 9 of hearts, and just something tells me I got to put the money in. I mean, yeah, it's Crazy Drew, but yeah, he had queen 10 offsuit. He did have the 10 of hearts, so he could win with the queen 10 of heart, but he didn't. With 1 card to come, I'm a favorite, and I held again, and then Psycho rivered me, and then I made another pretty good fold, pocket 10s. It came queen 8-6, and Danny bet, but Danny bets all kinds of shit. And then the turn's a deuce, and he bet again, and I just went with a read. He's strong. Yes, it's Danny. He's crazy. It's DK, but He's strong here. I don't know exactly. I can't say exactly why I know he's strong, but I know he's strong, or I really suspect he's strong. And so I laid down the 10s, and I was right. He had 2 pair. And then, so I was playing. I tend to play my best when my back's against the wall. I raise with Queen 8, and that's it's funny when someone says they play their best and they say they raise with Queen 8, but I'm always going to play bad pre-flop in these games because I am pretty good post-flop, and I'm trying to handicap it a little bit, and that's why I drink and spew so hard. But it comes 10-9x, I bet. Oh, I'm sorry. DQ bets, and I call. I've got a gut shot, and the turn's an 8. Okay, so pair and gutter, and he bets small, but I don't like it. I think I'm in a lot of trouble here, and I was. I folded, he had Queen 10. So I'm pretty locked in, and on that note, I folded 2 7s pre-flop. Nate had kings this time, and I was very, not certain, but almost certain that Psycho had ace-king. So if they both have ace-king, 7s is in a great spot, but I let it go, and Nate did have kings. And then we're going to get to some clips here shortly, but I bluffed. I had a pretty interesting bluff, in my opinion. I had Queen 8 again, and it came 10, Jack 8, 9, and I just called Nate's bet. Nate was getting way out of line. He had ace 5 offsuit, but I didn't know that, of course. I just called, and then Heiko, also known as Psycho, called. So I think I'm chopping here a bunch on 10, Jack 8, 9. And so why am I just calling in position? Because if the board pairs, I can rep the boat. And also, if the board doesn't pair, I can jam the river for like way too much, because I believe I'm the only one with king, queen in my range. I decided that Nate couldn't have it in his range based on pre-flop. I'm sure he could, but like it's really unlikely. I was more likely to have it, and so I was planning to block chops on the turn, and the board paired, and they checked me, and I overbet. And Psycho did have a straight, but he had the smaller one. It's interesting. Charlie, who's a very good player and was commentating, he says he likes a small bet here to target a 7. I was going for chop blocking, and it's just. It's interesting. I could maybe talk to him about that after this. I think, obviously, if you see the hands, you're going to bet small. But I thought I needed to bluff out a chop. I thought that was more likely than I was getting value from a smaller straight. But it's just an interesting, I don't know. And that's the beauty of poker, is you just don't know. And then maybe in a couple of days from now, when I'm driving my kid to practice or something, I'll just be like, yeah, Charlie was right. Or, nah, maybe I think Charlie's wrong. But anyways, playing the 7 deuce game, and I called dark with 7 deuce. I didn't know, and then I kind of got handcuffed. It just I didn't have an opportunity to raise, and then I flopped second pair, and it's a bluff catcher. I'm just calling down, and Psycho had the best hand again. And then I flopped 2 pair, 9-7 on ace 9-7, and this is a spot where I think I messed up a little bit. I checked over to Ayaka, who was pre-flop raiser. I think she's going to bet ace high flops. She's going to continuation bet. And Simon called, and I check raised ace 9-7 rainbow, and he called quickly, which fooled me. The quick call historically is a draw, and so I got 2 pair, and the turn card's a card I don't like. It's a jack. So the most obvious draw, 10-8, just got there. Ace 9-7 rainbow, no flush draws. So it's 10-8 or 8-6 are the only draws, and turns a jack, and he checks. I decided to check back. I could bet and then fold, obviously, and never put another chip in position. But I decided, no, the draw just gets there. I'm gonna check back and play poker on the river. And if he had 8-6 and he wants to bluff, then I'm gonna have to make a read. But I'm probably gonna fold if he puts a lot in on the river. That was my thought. So 10-8 offsuit. People limp. I make it 400. Ayaka makes it 800, and just alarm bells went off for me, and I folded for the 400 more. Put in 400, fold the 400 more. She had aces. So I was playing well last night, and I'm not gonna lie. When I have more money to play with and things are going better, I'll tone it down. but it's kind of must win, and so I'm still gonna play, 60% plus VPIP. I'm still gonna drink a bunch of beers, but I'm gonna try and make really good decisions. And so far, I think I'm making. I'm very happy with all my decisions. And on that note, I barreled against Simon, who is a lot of action and was stuck. And do you want to be barreling against those guys? Not typically, but it just seemed like he was weak when he called the flop. And I picked up a pretty big draw on the turn. I had Queen 10 offsuit, and it came King. I think it came like King 6, 7. All diamonds, and I had a diamond, so I bet, and he called, and I was gonna barrel, and then the turn was an 8, giving me a straight draw as well, and I just bet a lot. I bet over bet the pot, and he folded a better hand, and yeah, he didn't fold a monster, but that's no one's folding monsters to me, and no one's but what's important is reading the way he called the flop that he's just weak, and that's nice. So I'm really happy with how I'm playing. And again, I don't really try to play my best. I'll never play well pre-flop on stream, but yeah, I had an interesting hand where I called $1,200 pre-flop with pocket jacks. Just bring the other people in. I think there was a $300 straddle on, and Nate raised to 12, and I could obviously put more money in and take the high variance route of like getting in against a flip, or sometimes I'm fucked. He has a higher pair, but I'm old school, and I like to play post flop, and I like to do it in position, and it brought in Danny, and of course it could backfire, but I got a really good flop, 9-3-3. I bet, Danny called, turns a deuce. I bet, Danny called, river's an 8, and I bet kind of smallish for my stack and for the pot. Wanted it to look really weak, and I wanted to get heroed by any pair. And Danny only had king high. He was on one last night. And of course you don't know this until you see some of the hands later. And what I do is, sometimes we play after, we play a little after stream, and then sometimes we go to dinner, and then I go back and I run through the whole thing just on YouTube and hit the right arrow and take my notes. And then so a good start, and then I started whiffing a little bit, and it was interesting. DK went on tilt. Nate rivered him, and it wasn't that big a pot. And DK has played in much bigger games, but he went on rage tilt where he was just making it 700 every hand, and there's not much you can do. You can't really get you can't VPIP bad hands when someone's doing that. And he started flopping trips against whoever had the good hand that called him, and it was interesting. He just went on tilt, and it ran up like 20K in just a few minutes, it felt like. And then it's time for my best play, and then things are gonna turn after this. But we're gonna run a clip, and let me just introduce it, and it's at 2:42:28, so a little over 2 hours in the show. Nate calls dark. So you see a lot of people doing this now. It's cool. You can sip on your drink, call dark, keep it stress free, get your VPIP up, and you might get to limp re-raise. The spot might come up for it, or your hand might dictate that. I go to 300 with ace king, and DK calls to 300, Sia calls to 300, and Nate's gonna go to 2100, and then we're gonna pause. Ryan, could you run this, please?
Okay, this is 2.
Good raise.
And then here. This is 3. And this is 2. Who raised?
Billy.
Really raised?
Ayaka did. Look where the cards are.
Oh, that's you. He always does that to me. Always.
I try and trick you. Angle shoot.
Always does it. 300?
Sia stop steaming.
Raise from DGAF, a couple calls. Now Nate with pocket jacks. Good squeeze spot. 2100.
Okay, So I'm gonna go a little quicker. I've been kind of running through a bunch of hands, and so I have ace king, very good hand. Go to 300, get some calls. Nate goes to 2100. He has a serious hand here. He's not. This is a very good hand. We're probably flipping, and do I want to just get the money in, or I don't think he's gonna fold the big pair to me, and no, I'm gonna call. I'm gonna play poker in position, and it brings Danny in again, and so we're gonna run this part. I'm just gonna call, and then there's gonna be 6,630 in there. It's gonna come Queen 6-3 with 2 diamonds and a heart. DK is gonna check. Nate's gonna bet small. I'm gonna call. There's gonna be over 10,000, and Danny's gonna call. There's gonna be over 10,000 in there. And the turn's a 10, so there's gonna be it's gonna be Queen 6-3, 2 diamonds, and 2 hearts, and they're gonna check, and then we'll pause it.
Only me? What do you think I'm gonna do?
Call. We know.
So just a call from DGAF.
Shit, I call.
DK comes along as well.
21, right?
There's a 6 for DK, but it's not enough yet to beat Nate's jacks. Nate bets small. Both players call. $10 on the turn helps no one. And what does DGAF want to do here?
Okay, so just to recap really quick, there was some limpage. Nate limped dark. I went to 300 with ace king. Some people called. Nate went to 2100. That's a 7x. That's serious sizing. I don't think he's getting super out of line. Of course, it sucks if he has ace queen and I could get it in with him, but I just don't think that's the case here. I think he has a big pair, and I think we're flipping. And I opt to bring other players in, and I like playing poker in position post flop. That's where my strength is, not pre-flop. And just call, bring in Danny, and we got a nice bloater. Queen 6-3. Nate bets tiny. Just call with the ace king. Danny calls. The turn's a 10. They check to me with over 10,000 in there, and I decide that my hand looks a hell of a lot like pocket 10s pre-flop. If there's one hand. If you're Nate, at this point I think Nate has jacks, and if there's one hand that mine looks like, it's 10s, and so even though I bluffed the most, some spots even I'm gonna look strong, betting 7K into 10K with Danny in the hand. I think Danny's weak, and I think Nate has jacks, and he's just gonna be in a nightmare spot, and I bet the 7K, and I just think it looks strong, and it's sketchy repping a set, but we'll see if it works or not. Right?
Getting DK to fold anything is so hard, but DJF is going to try. And gets a quick fold from DK. 7,000 from DJF. This puts jacks in a gross spot. I don't see Nate calling here. He might be suspicious. But this is a big bet, and his hand's just not that strong. This would be a lot of fun if Nate could find a way to win this hand.
Really don't know. Hold on. I hate when I have no fucking feeling of what I want to do.
Tough spot here for Nate Hill. He does finally fold. Nice bluff from DGAF. Takes down a huge pot.
I might have got there.
You might have got there?
Yeah. Fuck.
You have ace jack?
I might have got, yeah, ace jack. I was in the tank on ace jack. King's coming. I can feel it.
Pocket jacks? No good.
You got pocket jacks? I knew it. I fucking told myself to get jack. That's crazy.
So this is the fun in poker. When the stacks are deep and the stakes are high, you get to do really fun stuff like play ace king in a way that most wouldn't. Most would probably jam pre-flop, even though we're incredibly deep, or maybe put in a 4-bet. But yeah, I just I like playing post-flop as mentioned, and also not to nerd out too hard, but if I really think he has jacks, and then if he's looking for semi-bluffs for me, it's queen 6 3 10, so king jack. You know, sure, I could have 5-4 if I called 2100 pre-flop with 5-4, which maybe I would, 5-4 suited, but you're thinking more along the lines of, okay, he could have king jack suited, jack 9 suited. Oh, but if I think Nate has 2 jacks, he's gonna say I'm blocking those hands, and I think he's gonna have to fold. And Danny snap calling and Nate folding the jacks tells me I think I played it pretty well. Unfortunately, we're not gonna have time to go to my worst play, but things deteriorated. I was up about 20K at this point, and then it went downhill. I started whiffing, and then I had some spots where I knew what my opponents had, and so I was check raising with air, and it didn't matter because they didn't believe me and they weren't folding. One was ace 7-7 rainbow, and Danny bet. I knew he was weak, and Nate called. I knew he had a bluff catcher. I check raised. If I have a 7, that's a classic spot where you're gonna rep the 7. But then Danny, they both call, and like, what am I doing? I made a very good fold with queen 9 on queen 6 3 3 9. Really bad river card. I was not betting any other river card besides a 9 or a queen, and yeah, and DQ said he bluffed me, but it turns out he didn't. I made a good bet fold there. And I had a nice little steal, and then I started, running pretty bad. Ace queen suited, I lost 1,000. I could not jam against Ayaka. It didn't make sense, and she had, I think, pocket 10s, and the flop came good for her. She jammed. I value cut myself a little bit against Psycho, who was pot controlling the shit out of his hands, and it's just a slow death, and the game was going slow, and they started tilting me, which they did a good job. My worst play, I bluffed off a bunch with 8-7 suited to DK. I knew exactly what he had. It was king 5-4. I was the pre-flop raiser, and I had a gut shot and a backdoor flush draw, and I bet, and he called. I just knew he had ace 3 or ace deuce, and I just knew it. I don't know. I played with him a bunch, and in terms of 4, he checked. I could have bet bigger. I bet small. He called, but I just plan on betting one more time on the river and winning, as long as it's not an ace, deuce, or 3. The river's a 3, and then I had to decide, does he have a straight? Like, do I think he has a straight, or do I think he just has ace-3? And I bet a significant amount, and he called me with ace-3, but he was calling everything. He called Nate with 10 high on the river. It was bad. So I started running bad and playing bad, and I was up about 20K, and I won a little less than $1,200. So up stuck, holy shit. And you'll hear what happens after if you sign up at patreon.com/DGAF poker player. I'm gonna run through my goals real quick, and then we'll be done. I wanna have 0 debt by the end of the year, and we're at 173.5. I've knocked off 2K, and I want to win 35 times. I've won 9 out of 17 on stream. So it hasn't been the start to the year that I wanted, but I played really well, at least for the first few hours last night. And if I run decent in this game, I'm just going to win. And then 219, I want to weigh 219 or less. This might be a little bit ambitious. I weighed my most ever coming into the year, 257.7. Really had an awful last few months of last year. It fucked me up in many ways. And I weighed myself this morning, 254.2. So gained like 5 pounds in the last week. I think it's muscle mass because I've been lifting a little bit, but whatever. Thank you all for listening, and stay tuned for the anti-game.
Chat pro, slow roll, never fold. Raise it up. Chat pro, slow roll, never fold.
Raise it up. Chat pro, slow roll, never fold. Slow roll, never fold. Slow roll, never fold.
Raise it up. Raise it up. Chat pro.